for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Happy all-in football season. We've had high school football. We've had college football. Tonight, the National Football League gets underway. Cowboys, Eagles, James Boyd, Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton. I'm Jeff Rickard. We have made it all the way. Every level you can imagine. It's football season, James Boyd. Kevin Bowen, it's time to just almost on a nightly basis, daily basis, hey, I'm busy. I've got a game to cover. That's how that works in your house too, right?
Well, you could say that. I don't know if the reaction is going to be met with what you're looking for there. Mark, I was hoping for like a little NFL Films maybe intro.
Oh, that might be coming a little bit later.
Thursday, okay.
Might be coming a little later.
All right. Indeed, we are here. Yes, Cowboys-Eagles tonight. And then tomorrow, YouTube exclusive tomorrow from Brazil.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Chiefs and Chargers. So what does that mean? We all can watch it, right?
I believe so, but you have to go to the
YouTube
app on the smart TV. I was thinking about this last night because I was like, wait a second, my dad's going to be like, what the heck is going on? Why can't I find this game? So I
he's got no chance, right?
No chance. I expect a call from him probably later today so he can prep for how to get things set up.
Looks like if you have YouTube TV, you can just add it to your watch list, and it'll just be on there. So you can stream it on YouTube TV without issue.
You already just said too many steps
I
for
know.
my people.
Mark's speaking grass.
This will be a FaceTime call, and then my dad will be showing me his face, and I'll tell him, hey, can you flip the camera and like stand in front of the TV, and then I'll walk you through how to do things.
The number of times I've had to do that already with my parents for streaming is just alarming.
I know.
Is it one of those things where like their face is kind of sort of in the picture up to the upper right hand, and they're talking to you and trying to figure out what to do with their picture and what to show you on the screen that they're talking about? Is it that level?
Yeah, I'm like, close the window because there's a glare on the screen. I can't see what you're putting in there.
Yes, all of the things that he is talking about will be happening very soon in my life.
My favorite is when they look really closely into the phone and all you can see is like the hairs in their nostrils, right? You're like, no, back off a little bit.
Yeah, that's
back off a little bit.
Back up.
Yeah. Welcome into football season. We've got Cowboys-Eagles tonight. Are any of you guys surprised that the Cowboys, to start the season, and I know Philadelphia won the Super Bowl last year. I know Philadelphia's at home. But that the spread is 8.5. That's a big divisional spread.
I would agree. I forgot they have George Pickens as well.
Yeah.
So that's quite the duo, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens there. But yes, I'm surprised by an 8.5 divisional spread.
That's crazy. And yeah, new faces and new places. We'll see that all over the place in week one. George Pickens, of course, in Dallas. Dallas will be playing for the first time in a while without Micah Parsons tonight, who said yesterday he wished he'd have stayed in Dallas with the Cowboys. How's that make Cowboys feel?
Man. They gave him up. I think the fans are probably still upset about the trade. However, Micah, you ain't got a lot of us, brother. I will go anywhere on God's green earth for $100 million guaranteed. So it is fine. Green Bay is fine.
Cesspool of Green Bay.
I mean, it is what it is. Mark, you would move to Green Bay for $100 million guaranteed. You know, you don't have to wear a Green Bay jersey, but nevertheless, I'm excited to see him. I know he's had like the back injury, but from all the clips I've seen from a lot of Green Bay writers that I follow, he looks pretty spry after getting paid.
I would imagine he's a little motivated too, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I saw a video of him after he signed his deal or inked the trade or whatever it was, and he ran around his house singing a song by Rod Wave called Richer. And I think it's like he was singing I'm richer than I've ever been. And I was thinking, wow, what a life. I would love to be able to run around my apartment saying I'm richer than I've ever been. But I think Illinois has some money I still own from school.
I'm just curious, Mark, for all the nonsense you talk about Green Bay, have you ever actually been to Lambeau or Green Bay for a football game, or is that just there's no way you'd even deign to go up there?
No, I do want to go there at some point and check it off the bucket list as far as all the NFL stadiums I'd like to visit. So I've not been to a game up there, never been there. I've been in Milwaukee. That's the farthest I've gone, but no, never to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I will say it's a cool place. It is very 90s-esque. It feels like you're going back in time when you go to Green Bay, but
there's a Blockbuster here.
Yeah, and everything's green and yellow. So I honestly was thinking, if you don't like football or Green Bay Packers, what do you do in Green Bay, honestly?
Well, the unofficial third color for the Packers is Hunter Orange, though. If you show up on game day and it's cold, there are going to be a lot of people decked out in their warm hunting gear as well.
Gonna watch Packers play, then we're gonna go shoot some deer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get some cheese curds.
Sounds like a simple life.
I like it. Kevin Bowen, yesterday, the Indianapolis Colts getting ready for the Miami Dolphins. First injury report of the year comes out. Did we learn anything different from what we had expected to see?
Well, we thought it would be a very healthy injury report, and it's about as healthy as it can look. So, yeah, all 53 guys on the 53-man roster did practice yesterday. Tyler Goodson, the only one even listed, and he is limited with his elbow injury. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great bill of health. The Miami Dolphins are not in this state heading into week one. And even if you look at the guys that you lost in training camp, yes, you lost Justin Wally. Yes, you lost Hunter Wohler, both for the year. You know, Jalen Carlisle was probably going to be a guy playing a little bit at linebacker for you. That is going to be out for the first month plus here. But, I mean, you've got, 21 to 22 starters and 40 of your top, probably 44 guys, 41 of your top 44 guys. It's a great situation to walk into week one into. I can't recall last time the Colts have been this healthy. And, again, Miami's got a little bit more of the injury concern. Some of their frontline guys also haven't practiced in a while. Tyreek Hill just back to practice. Devon A-Chain just back to practice. So, yes, it's another, I think, feather in the cap of optimism for the Colts heading into week one.
And, JB, it kind of feels like for both sides there's an element going into this game of unknown. Certainly for the Colts, it's a brand-new quarterback, right? And they've got a rebuilt defense and a new defensive coordinator. So from Miami's perspective, you're going to go look at some Lou Anarumo coach teams. You're going to probably look at a little Daniel Jones tape from the past, but there's a lot of unknown there. And it just feels like the Dolphins in general are somewhat, even though they shouldn't be, it feels like, who are these guys right now? Who are they really? Does it kind of feel that way to you, or do you kind of know what you're getting for the Miami Dolphins?
I think for Miami, it's the stigma you've kind of tried to push off the last few years is, are you a fraud? And you have had success, I believe, made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years, missed the playoffs last year. But again, for some of those high-scoring offenses we've seen, they haven't won a playoff game in 24 years. So that is a very long time, longest drought, I believe, in the NFL. And then you look at the Colts side of things, and you haven't had much success as of late either. Are you a fraud with Daniel Jones and your new look defense and all these changes you've made? Nothing set in stone just yet. They haven't made the playoffs in 4 years. Obviously, a fifth year missing the playoffs would mean a lot. I think people would probably have to, say goodbye to the city of Indianapolis. But a chance to start over, a chance to obviously have some success. And for the Colts' sake, I'm sorry, I keep saying that wrong. But you want to just win the season opener. Haven't done it since 2013, and a lot was different back then. I don't think Tyreek Hill was with the Dolphins in 2013.
I'm going to extend that, too. The two head coaches.
I don't know if Tyreek Hill was in the NFL in 2013.
I'm thinking about it. No, because this is his 10th season.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right. That's a long time.
Man.
He's no spring chicken.
You look at the two coaches, though, too. Initially, everybody was all hyped up about Mike McDaniel, and he's kind of this new age, different guy. He doesn't look or act like an athlete, kind of a nerdy-looking dude. In that first year, they're running these crazy plays. They got all these speed guys. They're running up and down. I think they scored 70 on the Broncos one week. And that's kind of come back down to earth. Shane Steichen thought of as a pretty smart play caller, but he's a really good head coach. Where are you at on both these head coaches? Who are they as we enter this 2025
season? Yeah, I think they have a lot to define here. James, you and I were talking about in the media room yesterday. If you look at some of the first coach to be fired Vegas prop lines out there, you do have Brian Daboll for the Giants being atop the list, but 2 and 3 quite often are these two coaches, Mike McDaniel and Shane Steichen. If you want to take it a step further, Chris Greer, the GM in Miami, has been there for 10 years, no playoff wins, 3 playoff appearances. Chris Ballard, going into year 9, he just 1 year difference between him and Chris Greer, 2 playoff appearances and just 1 playoff win. So it is eerily similar how these teams are, I think, measured at the GM and head coach spot. Quarterback, slightly different. Tua has, when healthy, has been good in this league. And, they are a much better, different football team than when Tua is in the lineup versus when he is not in the lineup. Availability, of course, has been a question for him. And, obviously some pretty horrifying images, frankly, with his injuries in his career. But he's healthy. And you didn't see him last year in whatever that was, week 5, week 6. You are going to see him coming up on Sunday. And there are questions about, his connection with Tyreek Hill and all of this. Miami had a coach get arrested over the weekend. I mean, there's just a lot going on right now in this matchup here, and I think it's why, you see the spread as close as it is. It's one of the closest spreads of any here in Week 1. It's such a vital game for both organizations.
Yeah, it's one of those you have trouble. I don't know about you, Jason. I have trouble getting really a handle on what's this game going to look like. Like, generally, how's it going to go? Obviously, there's surprises that happen in every game that change everything, and maybe there's a really innovative game plan that people didn't see coming or whatever, but I don't have any idea what to expect from these two teams when the first half rolls around on Sunday afternoon over at Lucas Oil.
I would expect some speed. That is what Luan Arumo told us on the Zoom call this week. Speed, and more speed. So I expect them to test those cornerbacks early. And yes, Javarius Ward is proven, but his all-pro season was 2 years ago. Now, he went through some personal tragedies last year, so I don't want to discredit that. However, he would say this himself. I got to go out there and kind of prove that I am still cornerback one. Xavier Howard, you haven't played in 2 years. If I am the Dolphins, I am absolutely running a go ball on you. Can you run? I want to see if you can keep up with Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill after not playing, after being on your couch, as he put it yesterday for a couple of years. And I know he's excited about that challenge as well. So there's a lot of moving parts there. And also a little bit of I don't want to say if it's bad blood, but there's got to be a little animosity there. Xavier Howard going against his former team. And then, to my knowledge, I know Juju Brents won't be starting for the Dolphins, but he'll be on their roster, I believe, their active roster for game day. So there'll be a little bit of, animosity on the other side too.
Well, we got a couple of days to get you ready to go for Week 1 of the NFL over at Lucas Oil Stadium. We'll do that. We'll talk about the first game of the season tonight as the Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. All that and more and everything you missed as you laid your head on the pillow last night comes your way next. It's the Fan Morning Show at 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Inter-show domestic squabble during the break there, James, but we will power on as Mark and Kevin figure out the true nature of their relationship, right?
You're not bringing me to family court.
You have a little pushback, Mark, on your Green Bay accent, which, you know me, I'm very impressed by your impressions usually. That sounded a hair of Green Bay meets Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, that's probably the same.
Is that accurate?
Steel-toe boots, camouflage
I can't
jorts.
say if I heard any accents when I was out there last year.
Oh, there's a big Midwestern
I just know
accent
that they
going on out
really
there,
care about the grass. After the game, when I used to go down to the
yeah.
field to do like a little video, and they were like, you got to step a little bit to the left there, Mr. Boy, get off the grass. Like,
There's that Kentucky blue. Keep your feet off it.
See, that's definitely Southern.
Yeah. All right, here's what's happening in the world of sports. The Indianapolis Colts edge closer and closer to Game 1 of their 2025 season. They'll take on the Miami Dolphins. 1 o'clock start. You'll hear it live right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan from 9 to 10 Sunday morning. It'll be The Ride with JMV, The Ride to Kickoff, and then the Colts Network takes over and gets you ready to go with Rick Venturi and Greg Rakestraw and Matt Taylor and everybody else that'll be bringing you the game. And Colts injury report came out yesterday. We heard a little bit about that from Kevin Bowen. But for the most part, knock on wood, most folks should be pretty healthy and ready to go, right, James? Anybody you're worried about?
No, not at all. I think the big question mark is, will Tyler Goodson be available come Sunday, given his elbow injury? I saw him flexing it yesterday a couple of times throughout team drills. But
he had a noticeable wrap on that left elbow as well.
But still a positive development for him. I know I talked to him a while back about the injury, and he said it was a dislocated elbow, and he was very grateful he didn't have to have surgery. And obviously is trending in the right direction now. Availability still up in the air for now, but if that's your only real issue, the question now is, can you just get through the rest of the week without having any setbacks?
And we all know Wednesdays, Thursdays, critical practice days to get ready for a game, and this is week 1, and the Colts coming out of training camp a week and a half ago should be ready to go. And again, we'll have that one for you live right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. NFL gets underway later on tonight as the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys, 8.5-point favorites in that one. Eagles trying to bounce back and win another Super Bowl. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, and I don't know if we remember going back, they just mollywomped the Kansas City Chiefs in that football game.
I love that word choice there. Yes, it was an absolute thrashing, to say the least, back there in the Super Bowl. So we'll see what I almost said Shane Steichen, but it's Nick Sirianni can do for an encore tonight. And again, 8.5-point favorite over the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like the Week 1 matchup, I should say the season opener, has offered a couple of upsets in recent years, if memory serves. So we'll see if Dallas can muster something up after they have certainly been in the news for not a lot of positive reasons here lately, given the Micah Parsons trade.
We were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs trying to bounce back from that Super Bowl loss. The unofficial 54th member of their team, Taylor Swift. Yesterday, Roger Goodell was asked if she would be the halftime act at the Super Bowl this year, and he said, maybe. I don't know. He didn't deny it. Mark Dykton.
No, I'm sure if you ask, hey, is Paul McCartney going to be, he'd be like, yeah, sure, maybe.
She threw down a lot of hints in that interview with Travis Kelce, a lot of people think, so we'll see what happens.
It'd be a hell of a halftime show. If her concerts are any idea on how they would perform, it'd be a hell of a show.
It would be nuts. She's one of the best artists in the world, and obviously very, 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 did I say very popular?
All right. One thing we do know, college football is a very popular commodity in this country we call the United States of America. Texas, Ohio State, 17 million people watching that football game, one of 4 games of 10 million or more viewers that included Bama, FSU, Notre Dame, Miami was one of those, and LSU, Clemson. Clearly, all the NIL stuff, the new way of playing college football, how it works, all the nonsense. People don't care. They just want to watch a game on Saturday and Sunday and Monday nights, Kevin. That's all they want.
Yeah, college football has done such a great job on that opening weekend of dominating Labor Day weekend, spreading it out. Obviously, they have the 3 top 10 matchups there. So there's a lot about college football that they don't have right, but their willingness to, I think, play those games in the non-conference is huge. Although this week's slate, much, much lighter. You have Oklahoma, Michigan. The college game day will be there from Norman. That's really it from a true kind of marquee standpoint here. So lose a little bit of that sizzle here in week 2.
All right, let's move on to the U.S. Open quarterfinals last night. American Amanda Anisimova beats Iga Swiatek 6-4, 6-3. She moves on to the semis, as did Naomi Osaka, who beat Karolina Muchova 6-4, 7-6. And everybody is getting ready for the semifinals now at the U.S. Open. We'll have more on that a little bit later. We told you about the men yesterday. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball last night, Atlanta Braves stopped the Chicago Cubs by a score of 5-1. Starting to get early in September for the Cubs right now if they're going to make a run for that division, Mark.
Well, I can write off the division. They're going to make the wild card for sure, so that's okay.
All right, so you
I'll take the Padres at Wrigley for 3 games.
Right.
That's fine.
So 5-1, the Braves won that one last night. Cincinnati Reds in a slugfest, but they give it up to the Toronto Blue Jays 13-9 last night.
Will you write them off now, please? Kill them off.
Kevin, are you ready to just completely write them off altogether? Am I the only one propping them up on this show?
I was going to say, have you heard me for the last 3 weeks?
I've been trying to keep it alive.
You're acting like they're your third child with how you've talked about them. Just send them out back. They're dead. They stink. They're awful. It's football season. Who cares?
My boy. Save my boy.
Put
Are
him
you
down
going to
like Old
abandon
Yeller.
being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team?
I'll see you in spring training.
There you go.
And so if I said, Kev, you got an afternoon free, let's go down to Great American Ballpark, watch the Reds play.
Zero chance
No,
he's
sir.
going.
You not even
Zero
going to go
chance.
watch?
Nope.
All right.
I feel like you'd have to get paid to go.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Cardinals beat the
Guarantee
A's.
I catch a foul ball and paid that I go.
Cardinals beat the A's by a score of 5-1. Our Indianapolis Indians lose one on the road against Columbus. 9-2 was the final score there. They will play again tonight at 6:35. Anything else you boys want to throw in before we move along to the rest of the show?
Well, I think you got to definitely mention the big drama in IndyCar, continuing to have the musical chairs there. Will Power to Team Andretti. That spot opens up with Colton Herta dipping his toes into F1. I should say a test driver, I believe. I have that technically right there. So, I don't know. Herta, I felt like, obviously the last name carries some weight. He was kind of always left wanting more, particularly at the 500. Like, he's got the young American with the hair and all that, and he definitely has won races and had some nice early moments, but kind of left wanting more. And I love the Will Power storyline for next year. Andretti, at times you kind of look at that team and think, man, why aren't they better? But him, Kyle Kirkwood, Marcus Ericsson, be interesting to see Will Power on a revenge tour coming up next year.
Do you have
IndyCar.
a favorite driver or team?
Well, I think we adopted Santino Ferrucci, do we not, Mark?
Yes. Show favorite.
I probably need to go there for him. But no, honestly, I enjoy, and Alex Blow has certainly rewritten this script. I enjoy the parody that's usually there in IndyCar. And I think the racing is at least competitive on track, whereas F1, I feel like it's just a processional at times.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably more of just a league-wide fan.
I'm an old school Scott Dixon guy. I hope Scott Dixon just races until he's 150 years old.
Still getting it done.
Yeah.
It's quite the advancement in science.
I got one. I'll throw not a racer or driver. You know me. Alex Pelogs like winners, I guess. But as far as the Fever go, they got some help last night. The Sparks lost to the Dream, so now the Fever are in the 8th spot, and they're a game and a half up on the Sparks. And also, Angel Reese picked up her 8th technical foul last night, which means that unless it's rescinded between now and tomorrow actually, she will miss tomorrow's game, which is another big boost for the Fever as they try to make this playoff push.
We'll see about today for practice for Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Today they are back from the West Coast trip, traveled back late last night, or I should say late Tuesday night. And so today I think is a big, big day. Again, they play, as James said, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. That's the end of their regular season. Are there any big steps in the right direction for Caitlin Clark here to close out the regular season?
Did you see that kind of backhanded slap she threw to get that technical last night?
Yeah, it happens.
It was pretty intentional.
I mean, I can't. I watch men do this. I watch Draymond Green do ridiculous things and win championships, so I can't really act like I'm beholden to her getting a little testy.
I was just kind of like, I thought maybe it was one of those, was it or wasn't it? But no, she
The
she
Fever
hit the
just
girl.
dominate the Sky every time they play him.
I mean,
so far.
a lot of teams have done that this year. I believe the Sky are
struggling.
10-30. So
They are 10-30. Look at you. You just are all over it, man. I like that.
yeah, I mean, I'm cheating. I looked right at their schedule.
You don't have to admit that.
We have resources here.
All right. Mark, we had a big show today. What do we have to look forward to? I'm looking forward to the show myself.
Probably some NFL predictions we're going to throw out there. I think I got to know at some point today, and then Zach Keefe are going to join us, and Jason Hammer going to jump in studio and give us some bets ahead of the NFL opener tonight.
He was money last year, too.
He was quite good.
Yeah.
Brought a lot of booze, too, which I'm very thankful for, especially after that Bears season.
The BOOZE type, not the BOOS type.
Right.
Nah, you're the only one that get the booze on the show. Shout out to the text line. Oh,
There we go. Mark is with us this morning, that's for sure. We'll continue it on. Kick it off next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning and welcome to NFL season tonight. Cowboys-Eagles kick it off. It'll be the Colts and the Dolphins on Sunday afternoon over at Lucas Oil Stadium. Good morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton on the ones and twos over there. And on the eve of this season, the ESPN simulator ran thousands and thousands of seasons and kind of put it all together. And the biggest shock of all of them, it says both Super Bowl teams from last year, Kansas City and Philadelphia, missed the playoffs. I can't even see that happening. Can you? Regardless of what a computer says, I can't see that.
By the way, that is my favorite intro of the four stations that air football
Totally
games.
agree.
So, Mark Dykton, thank you for kind of leading us off with that. So, what is this? 1 out of 1,000 simulations says the Chiefs and the Eagles missing the playoffs?
It says, we're detailing the story of a single simulation from ESPN's Football Power Index, which normally uses 10,000 simulations to build its projections. To be clear, it's not this person's prediction or ESPN analyst's prediction. It's just what a simulation said, the most interesting simulation they had, with both Super Bowl teams missing the playoffs.
Do they have the Colts winning the Super Bowl in that simulation?
No, they did not have the Colts winning the Super Bowl in that situation. The biggest thing I saw yesterday from actual real, poll, it was on your site, James, at The Athletic. They did the optimism poll in every market. Did you see that? How optimistic,
I did see this.
How optimistic teams are or fans are about their team moving forward. Turns out people in Denver are wildly optimistic, probably overly so, about their chance. But dead last, 32. People in Indianapolis are not optimistic or hopeful about this season at all. Dead last, 32.
Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about this for the last few months now. It's easily the most apathy I have felt from the outside fan base. If you want to point to some tangible stuff, crowds at Grand Park, I think we're very, very down. TV ratings in the preseason, very, very down. So, yes, in general, I think that's where it's at. It was kind of sad, frankly. I posted a story yesterday from the Colts complex of, here we are, week one, and, Wednesday news cycle in the NFL is usually one of the busier days of the week, so it's always kind of a preview piece for me in what's coming up on Sunday. And the first response I got to that story was, beginning of the end starts on Sunday. And, when you see that comment, obviously I'm like, damn, that's the first response? Like, isn't this supposed to be like the most optimistic time of the year for anybody? But, when I look at it and think to myself, well, is it the beginning of the end? There's probably some merit behind that sort of thought there. So, yeah, you can change so much in the short term with a win on Sunday, but, yeah, heading into the year, I cannot recall the time there's just this much. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what happens and see if Carly Ursay-Gordon finally puts her hammer down.
And like I said, it's just, they called it the NFL Hope-O-Meter, and they just polled a bunch of fans in every market trying to figure out what's going on. So, like everything else, kind of take it for what it's worth. But, man, on the optimism scale, are you optimistic or pessimistic about your season? Only 7% of Colts fans in this poll were optimistic. 93% of them, James Boyd, were like, nah, it's not going to go well. That's 93%.
You have to show them something to believe in.
I get it.
It's rough, but I understand completely. We had the listener, I believe, last week, Jeff, that texted the station and said, I did not renew my season tickets for the first time in over 20 years because this franchise, in essence, has given me nothing to believe in. And that is what they are fighting right now. And we can talk about the X's and O's and the on-field execution because that ultimately will determine how much fan interest there is. But leading up to it, apathy is probably the right feeling to have about a team that just benched their quarterback that they drafted 2 years ago, who, by the way, had not played well. I mean, I can't argue, sit up here and say he should not have been benched in any capacity. But at the same time, the guy you replaced him with got benched at his last stop. So, it was kind of a lesser of two evils.
Well, and I go back to a week ago today, James, when we were recapping Chris Ballard's press conference. And, I think I said to you guys, I'm not overly, walking into that room expecting these grand answers from Chris Ballard. There's only so much he can say. Go back to the Combine when he sat down with us. Why are you getting the 9th year? what's your greatest accomplishment so far as an NFL GM? The answers are so sad and met with such hollow nature of like, wait, I guess he's right, but those are the answers. And, he said it, I thought, very succinctly last Wednesday, but very accurately when continually asked about, hey, why should fans believe? Why should fans believe? He pretty much just said, they believe when you win. And if you don't, they don't. And if you're not winning, you have to have the young quarterback carrot. And right now, you don't even have the young quarterback carrot. So if you're going to struggle, if you're going to be 3-13 in 1998, you have the young quarterback at hand doing it. This season doesn't have that right here, right now.
Yeah, it's hard to even see if they're going to be good 2-3 years from now.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
10 years without.
We're just looking at tomorrow.
10 years without a division title.
Yeah.
And I think there is just a general frustration of people out there, specifically with Ballard, of if I did that in my job, I wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
If those results were in my job, and again, equating NFL work to like your own work, probably a little bit of not apples to apples.
Well, we clock in and do the same thing.
But I always say it's not like there are active people at your office that are like smacking you upside the head to try and stop you from doing your job.
No, keep our hands to ourselves. You don't want them furniture moving up in here.
No HR meetings.
No. I got this email. I think all of you got it, but I wanted to point it out. Listener Jeff sent us an email yesterday. Said, "Good morning. I wanted to reach out and confirm the talk on the morning show about Colts apathy. I was a Bills fan growing up, and the Colts moved to Indianapolis the year after I graduated high school. I went to a game that first year in 1984. I've been a fan ever since. The last 10 years under Ballard have been pathetic, so I gravitated back to the Bills. My wife and I recently retired. We moved to Florida. For my 60th birthday, we purchased VIP tickets in the second row in Buffalo for a game this month. Between flights, tickets, hotel, etc., it's a $3,000 weekend. We could have done the same for a game in Indy for half the price, but I'm so tired of hearing Ballard's blather, I've just given up on them. I've met some other transplants here in Florida who are basically the same mindset. I hope for the benefit of Indy that Jim's daughters understand once fans get beyond anger at their team, apathy sets in and they go somewhere else to root. I enjoy listening to the show each morning, but there are a lot of people that are like, to your point, guys, show me something, anything. You were just saying a second ago, James, forget about 3 years from now. What's Sunday going to look like?
The best thing and the realest thing I thought Chris Ballard said in his post 53-man roster cut day news conference, which was about two guys that were still on the team, ironically, was we have to win people to believe. If we don't win, they won't believe. It's as simple as that. You can try to sell this plan, but your track record isn't great, so there is no reason to take you at your word, especially because you keep flip-flopping your decision-making. So ultimately, it comes down to wins and losses, and they will certainly be judged by that, I think, this year more than any ever, because you've put so many eggs in the Daniel Jones basket. And again, Anthony has struggled. He is not someone I can sit up here and say, oh, he was wronged by everyone and, this is all somebody else's fault. No, he is ultimately the player, and ultimately falls on him why he didn't perform to a higher level. But to bet on Daniel Jones is a big risk. It's certainly a questionable decision, and now you have to live with that if things go, awry. Hopefully they go well in their case.
And Kevin, I think a lot of people are just – the Colts are stuck in purgatory. It's not like they're going 2-15. It's not like they're going 1-16. They're not in the top. They had the 4th overall pick not that long ago, and to James' point, it hasn't worked out all that well. But it feels to a lot of people like, great, we're just going to be 7-10, 8-9, and picking 14th, 15th, or 16th every year.
Yeah, and again, we've probably beaten this drum for the past X amount of months. And
I'm going to beat it again. I'm joking.
And the Colts haven't given us any reason, obviously, in recent years to change that storyline. But, there is a part of me that's like, all right, tonight's opening night. Let's get to Sunday. Yes, there is apathy with the 2025 Colts. I guess maybe that's breaking news. Maybe it's not. But what does Sunday look like? Because, again, you have a golden opportunity here at home the first 2 weeks. You're going to be favored in 4 of your first 6. This is probably the best skill group you've had in quite some time. You have, I think, changed the defensive system at least to a point where you're giving yourself a better chance on that side of the ball. How does it all come together? And I guess let's start with Daniel Jones. For me, and, I think so much of Shane Steichen's thinking now is, the baseball analogy we've used quite often has changed. It's no longer the home runs and the self-creation. It's the singles, the doubles, the methodical passing game. James, I can't tell you how many times yesterday Shane Steichen said in that press conference, find completions.
Yeah.
Find completions. Yeah. That is exactly what he said probably 4 or 5 different times about Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. And it is, there was one point he goes, know where to throw it, when to throw it, and how to throw it. And it was just, I actually thought he gave a little bit more Daniel Jones color than we have gotten in prior press conferences. It's not going to be flashy. I think you have to take some shots down the field. That's just my general thought. Obviously, those are going to have to be very calculated. You're going to have to, Alec Pierce is too good of a weapon not to use down the field. 7-man sort of, blocking schemes to try and take those shots by all means. But this is going to be more of your dink, dunk, hit guys in stride, hope they make plays after the catch, stay ahead of the chains, and see what happens.
I'll take that. Stay ahead of the chains would be a vast improvement from what we've seen the last couple of years, because teams that stay ahead of the chains make a lot of first downs. At the very least, they make a lot of field goals, and most of the time they turn those into touchdowns. You stay ahead of the chains. You just keep moving. As Hank used to say, matriculate right down the field.
Yeah,
that's how you win.
I think there's a fine line in the NFL between thinking you can grind out 12-play 80-yard drives 4 or 5 times a game. I think that's pretty rare. I think you have to sprinkle in some of the big playmaking. And honestly, and I obviously speak out of this from a fan venom standpoint, but I watched Notre Dame operate an offense Sunday night that was horizontal as hell. That is going to be so key for the Colts. You can't live in horizontal football. Notre Dame threw for more yards side to side than they did up and down on Sunday night. That is a question I have for the Colts. How horizontal is this passing game going to be? How many checkdowns can you live with? Because it takes one drop, it takes one little whatever errant throw, and now all of a sudden you're living in 3rd and 7.
And that's what I mean when I say
that.
Yeah.
How do you play off of that?
And that's what I mean when I stay ahead of the chains. Teams that stay ahead of the chains are always in 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3, as opposed to 2nd and 8 and 9. They're in 3rd and 1 as opposed to 3rd and 9 all the time. That's staying ahead of the chains.
Yeah, and to piggyback that point, I think the Colts are not built to come from behind, whether that is chain-wise or score-wise. They're not a team that I would trust to, if you fall in a 10-0 hole, can you come back and win that game? I mean, it was a running joke for me last year. Every time they fell behind by more than one score, so in that case it would be 9 points or more, I was like, oh, it might be over. And it could be the first quarter. Obviously, the fourth quarter wouldn't help you, but that's what they're up against. I don't picture them being some super high-powered offense that can always kind of bring you back. We saw last year, even with that disastrous playoff game for the Lions, there was still like some hope there when they kept turning the ball over because, Ben Johnson was cooking, by the way. I know, Mark, you must be excited thinking about that, game. Because I was like, man, these guys have turned it over 3 or 4 times, yet they're still scoring. They're still in this game. It's not over just yet. That is not the case for the Colts. They cannot get in that position, and I expect them, again, to lean on Daniel Jones to be and I think the line I used in one of my stories recently, or it's going to be dropping here in a day or so, they chose Daniel's, the simplicity over the special. We will take the, reliable simplicity over the sometimes spectacular. And it is what it is.
Yeah, a couple other Jones questions I have. How much will they use his legs? He can definitely run. He can definitely scoot a bit, but he has not been the runner since the torn ACL in 2023. 2022, the season the Colts often point to as a big reason why they gave him $14 million and are believing in him. He ran it a lot. And, again, what does that element of the offense look like? He's not Anthony Richardson, but he certainly isn't Matt Ryan or Joe Flacco. And then one thing that Shane Steichen has done quite often, and I think usually with pretty good success, and I think it's a way to kind of counter a defense, I would expect the Colts to use a lot of tempo. The Colts have definitely been a team that they love to hurry up within a possession. They get a big play in particular. They love to jump on a defense with quick tempo there. So are those some ways they can counter maybe the lack of an explosive nature? I did have to, if you didn't laugh, you're going to cry yesterday in the locker room, James. I don't know if you caught this, but, quarterbacks speak on Wednesdays. The Colts try to divide it up. Like today is DeForest Buckner and Jonathan Taylor's day. Wednesday, it's usually quarterbacks. I think Zaire Franklin's usually a Wednesday guy. Kenny Moore, usually a Wednesday guy. And in past years, I feel like for the most part, Richardson and Flacco, they would speak pretty much right as the locker room availability was opening up. It's open for about 30, 40 minutes. Daniel Jones was not talking right away. So, the media is making their way around the locker room. And at one point, Zaire Franklin, shout out to Zaire Franklin, by the way, he once again will be raising $44 for every tackle he has. This is going to go to the Boys and Girls Club of Indianapolis here this year. Coca-Cola is going to match that. I think last year they raised over $16,000. So great work by Zaire Franklin with that. But at one point early in the Zaire Franklin press conference, you all of a sudden had Daniel Jones walk in. So all of a sudden you got, this throng of media making their way from Zaire Franklin over to Daniel Jones. And James, I thought about, didn't Zaire Franklin on his podcast last year make a joke about wanting to play Daniel Jones in the New York Giants?
Yes.
And
I have the clip. Someone actually tagged me in it. I want to say maybe
that
like last week.
Is a fellow captain with Daniel Jones, and he's the quarterback of Zaire Franklin. It's amazing that this is happening.
So you think that is the first thing you say, hey, man, I'm sorry about what I said?
I mean, don't you have to?
No, I don't know if you have to.
I think you might just keep moving along.
I was going to say, I don't know.
Just move it along.
Daniel Jones, the way he acts with us, I don't know if he's even seen the clip. So maybe you just take that to the grave a little bit. But I am curious to see how Zaire's media appearances go this year. I know he's just joined the 520 podcast with Jeff Teague. Another, I can't say another because Zaire will tell you he's from Philly, but another Indianapolis-based athlete, Jeff Teague, former Pacer, but that weekly appearance.
They don't hold back on that podcast, by the way.
I know, and I'm thinking just whatever you do.
Good for us.
In all seriousness, we truly can't he's good for us. Yeah, I don't know. So Mark's going to have to hit the dump button a couple of times playing those clips. But in all seriousness, some of the drama we saw last year with Zaire and Pat McAfee, and Zaire in the comments putting his foot in his mouth a few times, that can't happen again. That can't be a conversation you're having for a guy who is a team captain for, I believe, the 5th or 6th time in his career.
I do want to share this from Brad. Brad chimes in here on the text line. He goes, this is the best roster Ballard has put together in his tenure. Fans are just pissy because Richardson wasn't picked as the starter, which was the right decision. If AR wants a job, he needs to get better and earn it. I'm optimistic about this season. I do think there is some truth in Brad's statement of, we can continue to do what we did for the first 10 minutes right there and talk about the apathy. Like, yes, breaking news, there is apathy about this Colts season. It's probably more big picture apathy than anything, but if you do want to live in the short-term bubble, I think there are some things on this roster that you can point to and have optimism about. And again, you play in the AFC South, and you've won 8 and 9 games the last 2 years. So if you're a little bit better at catching the football, if you're a little bit better at quarterback, and you're a little bit better on defense,
and field goals,
field goals. Does 8-9 become, 10? Now, of course,
NFL.
Don't say that. Mark will have you saying 12 wins by a week and a half from now.
Now, of course, the flip side of that is, and James, you pointed this out earlier in the week, all your wins last year by one score. And the last time this team beat a quality quarterback, James Boyd was still in Champaign. So that is an aspect.
You know what?
Too.
No, this is Chiefs erasure. My first year on the beat. They got him at home. I remember that game.
I mean, if you look at it a full 2 years,
I agree with you, though.
Lamar Jackson, week 3 of the 2023 season, you look at the quarterbacks they have beaten since then, it's one of the more pathetic lists you'll see. So I get it. And, there is some reason to say, you know what, Tyler Warren, okay? Oh, wow, they finally invested in the secondary. Oh, okay, the defense isn't going to be an elementary-ish type scheme. I understand that. Big picture, though, where is that light at the end of the tunnel?
Also, how tough will you be? That has been a big factor for Shane Steichen and wanting to create more of an edge. He mentioned having 400 more plays, with team periods throughout training camp than he had the year before. Will that help you finish? Because I think that is one of the things that we haven't seen from this team, especially as of, the more recent years. They can't finish games and they can't finish seasons. Every year they're right there, and it's like, okay, what's going to go wrong this time? How are you going to beat yourself? How are you going to let some team that shouldn't, have a chance to beat you embarrass you? I mean, last year with the Giants game, they were on the brink, and they're probably going to miss the playoffs anyway at that point. But you cannot have a performance like that when everyone knows if we lose this game, it's over. And you go out there and let Drew Lock look like prime Eli Manning or something like that. So that to me is one of the things I'm very curious to see is all of this talk about toughness, tenacity, edge. Will it transfer to you winning, and not just winning, but winning in perhaps like ugly ways? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be pretty. You just got to get up, one more point than the other team.
239-1070 is the text line. It's also the number to call in if you want to be a part of the show. And Harrison from the South Side has a question for everyone. Is it possible the Colts will be a top 10 offense and a bottom 10 defense? Best skill position group in a long time, but secondary is banged up and long in the tooth in some places. He's just curious
long in the
on
tooth,
that.
such a funny phrase.
Everybody's over 29,
those
James.
Those dentures coming soon? I don't think it's that bad, is it? But I really probably can't see either one. I mean, the defense has been bottom 10 the last couple of years, actually. I want to say there might have been bottom 10 every year when it comes to points allowed per game during the Gus Bradley 3-year era. But I can't see them being a top 10 offense.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor would probably have to lead the league in rushing.
He would have to ball out. He'd have to be like all-pro, right, in my opinion.
And that aspect, I think, is one that you look to, and, okay, can that be an elite element? I mean, last year Taylor was damn good and missed 3 games. So,
But Denver happened, and now people don't care anymore. But, yes,
sure.
I agree with you. He was balling.
Pure numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
Are there for this team. We did get a text here, James. I forget. Was Carly Ursay-Gordon, was she on the sidelines during the preseason?
That's a great question. I did not think to check that.
I know she was up in the booth in the last game because she was doing her interview there, but I don't remember seeing her on the sideline.
And I think she had told, I don't know, maybe it was J.J. Stankovitz from the Colts. I think she had said at some point she probably won't be on the sideline. I don't know if that's already going to be here week 1. But, again, her father into the Ring of Honor coming up on Sunday. For those in attendance, you will get For the Boss T-shirts, and it sounds like the Colts will honor Jim Irsay in a couple other ways to be announced here before Sunday at 1 o'clock.
All right, looking forward to all that. Coming up in a moment, we'll take a look ahead to Week 1 in the National Football League, just outside even what the Colts are doing, what are the other divisional opponents doing, and some other key games as well. I've Got to Know today, a special one, football-related. What do we got, Mark, today?
Not spoiling it now.
Okay, I won't
stay
spoil
tuned.
it now. All right, I was going to cheat a little bit there and see where you're headed. But it's all straight ahead here as we continue on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I love this theme. I love the little robots that come on the screen right before they go to the field, the game.
This is my second favorite theme. Sunday Night Football on NBC, number one.
Yeah.
This is close number two.
When I hear this, I think of Pat Summerall's voice.
I still like the Monday Night Football theme myself. That's my favorite.
I've always
Hank
wanted
Williams
to do
or which one?
The actual old Monday Night Football theme.
Hank.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's a great one. I've always wanted to do the intro where they ask them, what their position is or whatever. James Boyd, University of Illinois, safety. And I would not say what school. I would just lie. I would say James Boyd, Harvard, Princeton, Yale.
MIT.
Yeah. Because some of them don't take it serious.
They say they're elementary school all the time, right?
Exactly. I would definitely have fun with that, but that always gives me the little jitters like, okay, we're underway here.
We used to use the nickname 12th Avenue Tech at my school. That'd be it right there.
There you go.
Jeff Rickard, 12th Avenue Tech. Cody checks in, too. Have you guys mentioned the Clippers news yet? The reason I read that one on the text line is because you were just talking about that during the break with Kawhi Leonard. Up to a little something with the Steve Ballmer yesterday, right? What's going on there?
Shout out to Kawhi Leonard, best scammer in sports. No, I've listened to bits of the podcast. I've listened to the whole thing. It's 80 minutes. Shout out to Pablo Torre for breaking the story. But now I'm just very curious to see how the NBA attacks this or reviews this, because this is serious stuff. If they did circumvent the salary cap, for those listening, to
by finding creative ways to pay Kawhi more.
Let me back up. The story here is that, in essence, the Clippers created a fake company to pay Kawhi Leonard to help recruit him.
Lawn carries, mowing Ballmer's lawn.
Yeah, to help recruit Kawhi Leonard in free agency. Obviously, if you pay him outside of the salary cap, that is a big no-no in any league. So the question now is, can you prove that? Can you have all these bombshell reporting for Pablo Torre? I don't deny that he did some great reporting there and certainly some head-scratching developments, but can you prove it? And so I expect, big lawyers on one side, big lawyers on the other to figure out what is at the root of all of this, because right now it is not passing the smell test.
That's why there's all those mattress firms in the area, because there's nobody buying all these mattresses.
Yeah,
there's no way.
There's a vacuum cleaner store. Whenever I go to Champaign, I went back to my university last week, and I drive past it. It's in downtown Champaign, which downtown Champaign is like 3 blocks. I'm like, why is there a vacuum cleaner store? And there's like old vintage vacuums. I'm like, nobody is buying this stuff. Like, you have to be doing nefarious things. I think
Go to the window, Kawhi's laugh.
I think of like Ozarks or something. I'm like, there's no way.
And I think of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You go to the vacuum store, you want to disappear from this earth.
Exactly.
What do you think punishment would be? Let's say they did do this. Let's say that Steve Ballmer, whatever, is in the wrong here. What is league punishment for the LA Clippers?
That's got to be a huge fine to the team and probably some kind of a suspension for Ballmer where he can't
I don't
be
even
a
start
part
with
of
a
it for
fine.
a while.
Like, I hate financial owner fines.
No, but I think you couple that with, dude, you're out of the league for a year.
Well, I mean, I would go to draft picks. What about a postseason ban? I mean, you got to come down with the hammer here, right?
Kevin's going all
So
NCAA
here, no, but
postseason
this-
ban
I'd
right
look
there.
this
Like
up.
a
Clippers have given
financial
themselves postseason
ban of
ban.
an owner or a financial loss of an owner, I'm always like, what does that matter? They got more. I mean,
Mark said it right,
well,
though.
they're just printing money here.
Well, here's a reference point for you. So the last time that the NBA had a provable case of cap circumvention was when the Timberwolves made illegal deals with forward Joe Smith. This was in 2000 when it all came out. And at the time, David Commissioner, he fined Glenn Taylor, the then owner of the Wolves, $3.5 million. He voided the contract for Joe Smith, and then he stripped the team of its next 5 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 eventually got returned, I guess, after you dispute it. And they suspended the owner, the general manager, for a year. So those are heavy, heavy fines and implications there. So this is not something that will just go away. But I did get a kick out of Pablo Torre. Shout out to him also joining us at The Athletic, dropping that. And then I'm waiting for like the other insiders to give me some other information. I'm like, Shams, I don't want to hear about the new NBA All-Star Game format, which no one will watch because no one cares because it's garbage. I'm like, what are you doing? Where is the other information? Where is the stuff that really matters? And so shout out to Real Sports Journalism coming back with Pablo Torre on his podcast.
I saw that podcast, and he was pointing out where he had gone on the website, what he found, isn't this interesting? This happens at this date, the same time that this happened. You mentioned the company, if you want to call it a shell company or something like that. But also, I would think on a grander scale, Kevin, like if you are like the Federal Trade Commission and you see Steve Ballmer doing that, do you say to yourself, I wonder what else Steve Ballmer might be up to out in the world?
Well,
and you start
and I'm
maybe turning over some rocks and kicking some things around, right?
Look, I wasn't born yesterday. I realized there's probably some shady SH, I'll stop there, going on here with people in high-ranking positions in professional sports and probably more than college sports, certainly.
What?
So, yes, name, image, likeness has never stood for the acronym that it actually – name, image, likeness, it's never been that. It's pay for play. So I get that that's probably what we're going to. But, again, if this is real, I mean, Adam Silver's got to absolutely come down with the hammer on it. So I frankly just want it to be real, just see what the punishment is.
It's and we all we don't know.
Well,
but this isn't do we think this is an isolated incident throughout the NBA?
No chance. I mean, the question is how many owners are really upset, or are they kind of like, well, just don't really check our records and kind of see what we've done in the past. But, you know, the best thing about this is we have someone who is very, very talkative at the center of this, Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So he will explain it all. He'll probably laugh, and then he'll explain everything after that. What a wild story. I could not believe what I was reading and listening to. Wild stuff, man. All that. And then also, you didn't win. I'm like, man, you did all this cheating.
They're the Clippers.
At least with Deflategate, with Tom Brady, you won.
Yeah.
How do you punish the Clippers,
If
Kevin?
you're going to cheat, you got to win. If you're going to cheat, you got to win. I'm picturing, now local owners here and what they would have their players like. I'm picturing, Jim Irsay's hockey rink on his, old property there, and, Andrew Luck, doing the Zamboni, and, okay, here's
Steve,
$50,000. Well, granted, Jim Irsay gave Andrew Luck quite a lot of money after
Steve Ballmer's going to say that they've been banning us from the postseason for years. You got to rise up against the NBA, Clippers fans. They're out to get us.
Also, real quick to pivot back to the Colts for a second, because I could talk about that all day, honestly, because it's fascinating to me. Shout out to my guy Clark Wade from Indy Star, videographer extraordinaire. He mentioned during the break that Carly Ursay-Gordon was, in fact, on the sideline with the headset throughout the preseason. So perhaps that will continue throughout the regular season. He got a photo of it and everything like that. So shout out to Clark.
Colleen
Colleen
here in the text chain, she'd mentioned that as well. So, yeah, that I guess we'll see that here in the regular season. And again, I got no issue with it.
No, I don't have a problem with
that
at all.
And if you do, who's going to stop her from doing it?
Well, you spend
obviously.
If you're the owner of a multi-billion-dollar operation, I have no problem with somebody being down on the sidelines doing whatever they want to do. It's their toy.
The way she's explained it in the past, it makes sense to me. You want to know what's going on. She's not on the headset saying run this play. She's trying to understand football better, and I think she probably has, or not even think, I know she has better knowledge than the general public and probably better knowledge than everybody in this room when it comes to running a football team and things of that nature. So at this point, again, she said it. We've said it. It comes down to winning. And can you do that on Sunday, no matter what plays you run?
It's Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We've got NFL Week 1 coming our way tonight. The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Hammer going to stop by in the 9 o'clock hour and give us some insight as to what you might want to do with that extra $20 bill you have hanging out of your pocket, Mark Dykton. I know you're always in on that every week.
I wish, yeah.
My boy Mark needs some advice.
Yeah,
are you already down bad?
Stink. So I need some NFL help.
That's how you go in the hole, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stupid Notre Dame.
Text line continues to check in here. Jordan says Ballmer is the 8th richest person in the world. The financial punishment would be silly. There does get to be that.
That has to be crazy, though. Like, the amount of money they could fine him, and it wouldn't even be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, the financial punishments are just so stupid.
We were talking about would you go in the porta potty to get your money out last week or the week before.
Can you restrict their salary cap situation? Take away, hey, you can't execute any trades.
But what do you think about the punishment that was previously handed down? Because that was severe. I mean, you lose 5 first-round picks.
But the Glenn Taylor $3.5 million, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, that like.
But there has to be a financial element to some
to
degree,
me,
right,
I think
Kevin?
you need to restrict the finances of the actual team. Take the salary cap and say, no, you're working at different. You have to meet this salary cap now.
Yeah.
The league is at $140 million, and you've got to get everything within $110 million. That's the penalty I would do. Not say, give
Okay.
me $3.5 million out of your pocket. It's saying, all right, how can I hurt your team? Because Steve Ballmer.
So you don't think 5 first-round picks is
no
crushing enough?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the financial part. The first thing you read was $3.5 million.
Right.
That I don't care about.
Right. Okay.
I don't care about any punishment that has to do with the pocket of these guys. What I care about is more of how does this restrict your team from winning? Because Ballmer, we know, is crazy. He wants to win. Have you seen that? This guy, he's nuts on the sidelines. He's creating a stadium that has a student section and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Take the salary cap, make it different, take away the first-round picks. We do see postseason bans in college sports. Should we see it in pro sports?
I'm not banning them. No, I'm not doing that.
Why not?
Because they didn't win. If they had cheated and won, I would feel
the
differently.
Clippers have not been horrific here with Paul George and Kawhi. Let's not act like they're out there drafting.
I'm about to say that they haven't been
they're
all
the
that.
Clippers.
I don't know. Would I put a postseason ban on them? I'm serious about this. Now you got me thinking. I never thought about that. That would be something. I actually think that they wouldn't do that because of how it would affect the rest of the league. How would you even go about like playoff seeding with an odd number and all that?
Well,
Interesting.
The teams miss the playoffs all the time.
Well, you still got to play the Clippers.
Right.
You can't ban them. So,
Sure.
So if you ban them from the postseason, are they going to go out there and try?
Let's go hockey. You're only allowed to play.
And then what if you're a player on the
guys this
Clippers? Oh
game.
no, that would never happen. Oh no.
Again,
if I'm a player on the Clippers and I had nothing to do with this, if I'm the 7th guy on the roster, why the heck am I being banned from the postseason?
but the Clippers have won, didn't they? Did they not make the Western Conference Finals?
In the bubble? Well, no, actually, it wasn't the bubble. When was this? Pre-bubble?
It's been a
Bro,
minute.
this is the long. You're talking about ancient times.
I feel like in the last
The
5
world was
years,
different
the
when this
Clippers
happened.
have made a playoff run, have they not?
Man, I'm about to
but
look
you
it
look
up.
at the entire history of the franchise; it's just miserable.
Well, that doesn't mean you don't
he's
punish them.
No, I get that. I'm not saying
You
don't
guys are
punish
acting like
them.
you just let them off the hook.
No,
They made it to the
not
Western
at
Conference
all.
Finals in 2020, 2021. The world was different. I was covering high school sports.
I agree with Kevin, though. I think there needs to be something done with the salary cap in addition to the draft.
Even
picks
if you can pay
because
the fine, I'm still fining you. It's the principle of the matter.
we can do that too.
Yeah,
The fine money goes to something
I'll
good.
do everything you just said, Kevin. I'll sprinkle in a little bit of that $3.5 million. Come up off that money. Also, somewhere Herb Simon is saying, I know how to build teams the right way, for cheap.
Mark wants to go Animal House too, and have him bend over and get the paddle
Whoa.
with Steve Ballmer too.
Excuse
man.
me? Maybe.
It's like on top of all the financial punishments. It's Fan Morning Show
I'll
with
probably
KB,
sit that one
JB,
out.
Jeff.
That took a turn. Whoa.
Let's get it back to the Colts, though, for a minute there. There are a lot of people on the text line, KB. They're tired of the negativity. They're ready to go. It's a new season, 0-0. Let's put it on the field. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I will try to attempt it today and again tomorrow. Yes, the big picture concern is obvious. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. But tonight, they're going to play football. And they're going to do it again on Friday. And they're going to do it a whole lot on Sunday and on Monday. And the NFL, a big reason why so many people love this league is you get the 4 new playoff teams every year. And there seems to be a bit of a you don't know. And honestly, if C.J. Stroud goes out and gets blown up in week 1 and gets hurt, the AFC South turns upside down. So, yes, I will. I know I'm just looking forward to Sunday because I do think there are some different things with this football team. I don't think there's enough difference that all of a sudden I rethink my opinions on the regime in the last 10 years and all of that. No, but I can live in a short-term bubble here and we'll react to these games and see what happens. 17 games out of a long, long season.
Let's go. I could see the Colts winning against Miami at home on Sunday and coming out on Tuesday morning and you look at the AFC South standings and they're all alone in first place. All these divisional games are up for grabs this week. Carolina and Jacksonville, we have no idea what Jacksonville's going to be. I would probably make them the favorite in that game. Houston's got to go on the road to play the Rams, go up against Sean McVay. You never know what's going to happen there. Matthew Stafford can move. Denver Broncos taking on the Tennessee Titans. You would think that they're going to win that football game. Why not go 1-0 while the rest of the division goes 0-1? There's your optimism right there. And you're laughing at me for that.
I'm like, man, how the mighty have fallen. I was thinking this is a team that had Peyton Manning and the playoffs were just automatic. Andrew Luck, to a degree, the playoffs are automatic. And we're sitting here talking about can he be in first place after week 1. Lord have mercy.
Well, first of all,
this is reality.
Here's the point, though.
I know. That's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at Jeff. I just laughing like the situation.
But
My
here's
goodness.
here's the point where I'm going. That would mean the Colts won their opening game.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
First time since 2013.
And again, it's a massive week one game. I know I've said this a lot here over the past 3 months, but Miami's a team that I think could very well be right there with you at the end of the season. And I mean, if you look at these quarterbacks, Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, Bryce Young, a corpse of Aaron Rodgers, Aiden O'Connell, Mitchell Trubisky, these are the quarterbacks you've beaten in the last 2 years. You need to start beating the Tuas of the world. And not to say Tua is like an MVP candidate.
Or the Drew Locks.
But he is definitely above the level that you've lost to, or that you have beaten, I should say. And yes, to Jeff's point, you've lost to the Drew Locks and the Jake Brownings and the Taylor Heineke's of the world. So, you can, the NFL world, you can create mood swings in a hurry with a fan base. And yes, the damage I think is largely done to a lot to rewrite the script on the overall big picture of where the franchise is at right now. But here in the short term, people are tired of going to Lucas Oil Stadium and watching a loser, particularly week one. They don't want to go there and 60 minutes of football and walk out of there and watch the other team celebrate. They want to see wins. They want to be, okay, here's optimism in October and November and December, and not needing 9 things to go your way over the final 3 weeks of the season.
Well, we will find out on Sunday. And like I said, it's a big day here on The Fan. It's always fun. John's always going to have a good time at 9 o'clock with the ride to kickoff. And then, of course, the entire crew gets you ready to go from 10 to 1. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock. You'll hear it all right here live on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And I'm looking forward to just being in an NFL stadium on Sundays again, because that's one of my favorite places to be. I like getting to stadiums and arenas early. I've said this to you guys. I like watching them come to life. I like watching all the workers and the teams and everybody else arrive, and the concession stands starting to get opened up and people starting to do their thing. There's this feeling of rebirth all the time when I go and do that, especially at the beginning of a year, JB. You know what I'm talking about, because you're always
just putting cotton candy on a stick out
That's
there.
right. Let's go.
622.
And pretzels. Don't forget the pretzels.
Mike McDaniel undefeated in week 1. Tua undefeated in week 1. Does that matter?
Considering it's week 1, I'd say yeah.
Tua brought up an interesting point yesterday in his press conference. Tua was asked about just like the defensive look of Lou Anarumo, and he brought up something where it's like, given how our personnel is, and I don't think this is like Tua necessarily bragging, I think it's just how unique Miami is. He goes, teams defend us differently than they defend really a large portion of the NFL, which is probably something to keep in mind for the Colts in week 1. How much will Lou Anarumo's defense, defending Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle is a little different than defending, Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton in week 2. So I think that's just a little bit of an angle to coming up on Sunday, because full well Miami's going to try to dial up some shots. And on paper, the Colts should have an advantage D-line versus Miami's O-line. That should definitely be an advantage for the Colts, and has to be for them to win.
Well, let's get it going. I love this exchange. This exchange between Chase and KB on the text line this morning. Chase writes, "It's better to be consistently reliable than occasionally extraordinary," talking about the quarterback situation. And Kevin says, "Reliability and Daniel Jones' career, though, aren't really going together." And Chase laughed at that because that's what we're looking at right now.
Well, again, Daniel Jones is not Anthony Richardson, but also Daniel Jones hasn't been good. I think I said to you last week, James, the Colts keep on saying the word consistent. Well, is he just consistently getting to the same answer that Anthony Richardson got to? If you look at some numbers, there's not a large difference between Anthony Richardson's career and Daniel Jones' career. Now, they operate very differently. How they get to the final answer is very different, and that's what the Colts are banking on. They think the operation will lead to more, but more consistency doesn't mean you're better. You can be consistently bad. I mean, James, you've been all over this. How many turnovers does Daniel Jones have in his career?
70 games played, 73 turnovers.
So, again, that's good consistency. 1 turnover every game, seemingly. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're better. Yeah. That's the question.
All right, we'll continue to talk about the Colts and the Miami Dolphins coming up Sunday afternoon at 1. In the meantime, Mark, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Heading into week 1, it's when you're supposed to be the healthiest all season long. And the question for you, after having an injury report released yesterday by the Colts prior to week 1, how healthy are they, James Boyd?
Very healthy. Tyler Goodson was the only player on the injury report yesterday. He was limited in practice with an elbow injury, but still a good sign for his development and progress considering he dislocated that elbow a couple weeks ago in the Colts' second preseason game.
I know you guys are not allowed to watch much practice these days as we get closer to the season, but anything newsworthy coming out of Colts camp yesterday?
No, we watch pretty much nothing, yes. So we're out there to take attendance. James, I am curious if Tyler Goodson can't go. Is that Khalil Herbert? Ulysses Bentley the fourth. Both of those guys are on the practice squad. And it would mean, DJ Giddens is a fifth-round rookie you would think would have a big game one role. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to carry a heavy workload. He has pretty much his entire career. But still, if Taylor gets banged up or if you want to rotate, you're going to be throwing in a bit of an inexperienced option behind him.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to go in and spell JT, I would think maybe what you're talking about if Goodson can't go, that maybe it is a Khalil Herbert just because of the experience he has in the NFL, at recognizing blitzes, picking him up, things like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, our pregame coverage starts at 9 a.m. Sunday morning. The Ride to Kickoff with JMB will take you right up to kickoff. And, of course, Greg Rakestraw will have the postgame for you right here. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. NFL later on tonight. The Dallas Cowboys play at the Philadelphia Eagles. That one starts at 8:20 this evening. 8.5-point favorites for the Eagles. Man, the Cowboys get no respect, Mark Dykton. You buying that line?
We get to suck on that all week.
Yes, you do, Jerry. Well, that's what happens when you ship off a 25-year-old Pro Bowler in Micah Parsons. You get an 8.5-point deficit against the champs.
Well, we'll find out what Jason Amber thinks about that in the next hour here.
I need a winner.
Our betting analyst will stop by.
Give me a winner.
Pick me a winner, Jimmy. That's how that works. What else can we tell you? The Fever are off tonight, but they will play again Friday against the Chicago Sky. They may not have to face Angel Reese, however. We'll find out later today, James Boyd, correct?
Yeah, if her technical foul is rescinded, she reached the threshold where now she would be suspended for her next game. I think it's 8 for the WNBA. Got her 8th technical foul last night. And judging by the play where she essentially backhand another player in the face, I don't see how that gets rescinded. So that is a big break for the Fever, who are trying to hang on to that 8th and final playoff spot in the WNBA.
Good news and bad news for them last night. They are in the 8th spot. They're a half game behind Seattle. That's kind of the bad news. But the good news is the team trying to chase them down in the 9th spot, the LA Sparks, lost last night. So they have a game and a half advantage on them with just a few to play.
Yeah, everything's kind of breaking their way. So, again, you have to handle business tomorrow night. The Sky are not a good team. They're 10-30 this year. I believe they've lost 10 of their last 11. So go out there and beat them like you have pretty much since Caitlin Clark has entered the league. I know people try to dub that as a rivalry, but it really hasn't been. It's been very lopsided.
IndyCar action may have come to a close for the 2025 season, but the headlines have not stopped spinning. Kevin Bowen, what did we learn yesterday?
Yeah, musical chairs have begun. Colton Herta over to the Cadillac team. I think as a test driver there in F1. And so Will Power, who, again, Team Penske said enough was enough after 17 years. He now will be in that 26 car with Team Andretti. That'll look real weird, but boy, the revenge tour for Will Power could be pretty special. Social media, you thought TCU's account was great after they beat Chapel Bill on Monday night. Team Andretti took some victory laps yesterday there, so we'll see how that all plays out come next year. But great drama here so far for IndyCar. I still think some other musical chairs to be decided, but yeah, Colton Herta, I think you just were left wanting more. He definitely had moments and was, a young American that people thought could potentially be a star in IndyCar, but never got there. Not a lot of 500 success either.
All right, NBA, there was a little bit of news. More tweaks to the All-Star game are coming. James, there'll be 3 teams that'll play a round robin, 2 comprised entirely of United States players and 1 with international players, and you and I both had the same reaction, which was?
You have a snoring sound over there, Mark, because you're putting me to sleep already. I couldn't care less what happens with the All-Star game in the NBA. They have tried everything. I believe last year they might have had Mr. Beast out there for some time. That didn't work. And hopefully Gen Z or Gen X or whatever was interested. But it is just a bad part of the season. And I think all of us would be better off not paying attention to it. It is what it is.
I do think of all the things, an attempt at the world versus USA is your only chance. I know Mark, speaks from a hockey standpoint. Mm-hmm. That has turned into a great exhibition. Now, again, I'm not holding my breath, but this is the right attempt. If you're going to try anything, there maybe could be something here.
I don't think, when you stray away from more traditional basketball and the way it's set up, if it was world versus USA, kind of like the women have done whenever there's an Olympic year, you have like the Olympic team versus the other All-Stars. That's usually a pretty competitive setting, but a 3-team round robin sort of thing, I just don't see how that excites anybody, whether it's world or, NBA or U.S. players. So we'll see what happens. And also, you got to bank on those players being there. Like, for example, Luka is a perennial All-Star, but he wasn't one last year because he was hurt. So something to keep in mind.
Again, on paper, an SGA, Luka, Wembanyama, Jokic, Giannis starting 5. That is a little different.
Pascal coming off the bench.
Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah, Benedict Mathurin.
Andrew Nembhard.
I saw a video of Benedict Mathurin working out.
He looked thick.
Kevin.
Welcome to my world, Kevin Bowen.
God almighty.
So I wasn't going there. I was just talking about how he was getting down on the basketball court. But if you like his physique, I can't knock you on that.
The man looked bigger.
I watched his tape.
Not helping your cause.
James agrees. He's just afraid to say this.
Don't be putting words in my mouth. All right, this is all. I'm gonna sue you now. But the way I look at it, seriously, bigger, thicker, whatever you want to call it for Benedict Mathurin.
Careful.
I do think that he is going to be a 20-point-per-game scorer in the upcoming season. Watching his tape, his bigger role, he can score in his sleep. It's the other parts that I'm more concerned about. But I do think he will certainly be in that running for most improved player just by default because of his role.
Mark, you interested in baseball scores at this point in time?
Please, let's move on. That'd be great.
Braves beat the Cubs by a score of 5-1 last night. Reds lose to Toronto 13-9. Cardinals over the A's 5-1.
We suck again.
There we go. And
are they mathematically out yet? What's
No,
the percentage?
They actually play the Mets this week in a must-have series.
They must not have it then.
And Kevin will not watch a single pitch of that.
Correct.
The Reds are dead.
Indianapolis Indians lose to Columbus by a score of 9-2. They play in Columbus again later on tonight. That one will start at about 6:35. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we get out of this and head to break and regroup?
No, I think Kevin threw us in the mud enough, so I think we can move on.
Kind of a quiet week 2 in college football. Oklahoma, Michigan, that's where college game day will be. Indiana, Kennesaw State, the Owls there, and Purdue in Southern Illinois. And Ball State, a 43.5-point underdog to Auburn.
I do want to see Bryce Underwood from Michigan. I didn't watch last week's game.
A lot of hype there.
The hype around this kid is real. I've seen some of the highlights, but obviously highlights are always going to look good. I want to watch a full game of his, so I'm looking forward to this weekend because of that.
All right. Mark, I think you're a very curious young man.
Always.
All right. We'll find out just how curious he is next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
He looked thick.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark Dykton playing all the NFL hits this morning, and I am here for every single note of all of them. There isn't a bad one in the bunch, is there?
This one might be one of my least favorites. I like
Really?
it, but above all the other ones, the pomp and circumstance, I think this one.
This one has gravitas. This one has the weight of history on it.
I also am
behind
just
it.
not a big fan of the CBS, the NFL and CBS like studio crew. I feel like they're kind of boring. Maybe that's just me.
Well,
What
it's
does
all
it
good
consist
to me.
of? I got to refresh my memory.
Yeah, I don't even know. In the past, it's been Cower and Phil Simms and all that. And
Boomer.
Boomer.
JB's on there though, isn't he? Love Jay.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
still
one of my
there.
favorites, man.
I think they've made some change. Dan Marino was there for a while. I don't know
I
if
love
he's
me
still
some
there.
James, too.
James Brown is a big dude. Like I used to work with him back in the day at Sporting News Radio, and he would be doing his thing from Washington, D.C., and I'd be doing my thing from Chicago, but we'd get together like in the playoffs or Super Bowl or some big event, and he'd go, JR, and he'd walk up to you, and he'd like give you this big hug, and you would literally just get lost in this sea of human being. He is a big, big dude, man.
Boy,
He's
I'm
a cool
pulling that
dude,
audio
too.
right after Kevin
He
said
is
the
a
thick
big,
comment. That's
big man with a big, big heart, by the way. One of the nicest guys I've ever met in this business.
Yeah, pull that, Mark.
I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it really quickly.
Whoa.
I know what I said.
All
See,
of
that's
y'all
the thing. I know
need to
what
be
I say.
canceled.
I know what I'm doing.
I want to start hearing your voice on some of these. Huh? I'll do it right now. All right. So, Mark, I know we're all getting ready for NFL football. Starts later on tonight with Thursday
so
Night
crazy
Football.
to
Still
me.
on Amazon on Thursday nights, correct?
No.
Philadelphia and
This
Dallas?
one is
This one's on
actually
NBC.
regular TV.
This is, okay.
NBC.
But we are
I can't even
on-
keep up
We are
anymore.
usually on Amazon for Thursday nights. The
Yes,
opener,
but not
though,
for
is
the
always
opener.
Okay.
different.
All right.
I do feel your pain, Jeff. It switches
Honestly,
every week.
I've gotten to the point now where I'll go to like the CBS Sports app and I'll look on the scores and it'll tell you up in the right-hand corner what network it's on.
Yep.
I don't even worry about it until I'm ready to go watch the game, and then I go dial it up.
Yeah.
It is getting to that point though, where it's like Big Ten basketball. Like, what channel is this on? Do I
Yeah.
have this subscription? Oh, is this blacked out now? Oh, I need another subscription. Oh, okay. I didn't pay the premium price. Okay.
Yeah, mine. I just got NBC Peacock today. Just sent me an email this morning. Said we're raising your rates for $2 a month moving forward here.
Funny how that works every football season.
Yeah, and now they're going to have Red Zone's going to have commercials in their
We can't.
broadcast.
Let's
now.
not go down that road right now because I'm pissed. I don't like it.
Mark, will you play?
I don't like it.
Will you play the Shane Steichen clip from yesterday about his general growth? We talked so much about, I think, Steichen kind of head coaching stuff. Hey, quarterback and developer and offensive play caller and this and that. I also think he needs some own growth here in year 3. Again, it's Shane Steichen audio. It's not the most enlightening, but nonetheless, here was Shane Steichen's reaction yesterday when asked about where he needs to grow going into year 3.
I think just everything, like you learn as you go, right? So, some things you learn and you want to tweak, just like even this morning in the team meeting, just being more precise on how we're going to win the game. I always talk about how to win the game, but it's like, hey, here are the main things, right? You can have like 6 or 7 things, but here are the 3 things that we need to do on offense and defense and special teams to win the game. And be very clear and direct in that. And like I said, the messaging's got to be on point every single week on how we need to win the game and continue to be a leader, right? I always talk about leadership. It's an inspire, empower, and guide, and that's my job as a head coach.
Is Shane Steichen a good head football coach?
To be determined.
That's a good answer from Jeff.
Is he a bad head football coach?
To be determined. I think when you're 17-17 through your first 2 seasons, you're probably right there in the middle.
With the quarterbacks that they have had.
Yeah, and honestly, I probably lean more towards you're probably more good than not. I know some people are probably listening here like, James, this guy stinks. A lot of the perception or the reception I've received about him is that he is he leader of men? Is everything he say just words out? Does he ever give a real answer? I mean, even the clip you just played, is there a real answer in there?
Well, yeah, I mean, he
Kevin?
did say, to be fair to him, he did say, 6 or 7 items becomes 2 or 3. And, if you think about a leader, is it better to have concise messaging than lengthy messaging? Shockingly, on the Steichen scale, that is a real answer.
Fair enough. But again, I think that is what you're up against is like, okay, well, and I guess the counter to that would be like, did you not have 3 things last year? Like,
again, this is about growth as a head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, he admitted last year at times, he did not convey to his team what the standard was to whatever, play in the NFL.
I can, yeah.
So
I can now get with this.
I mean, he was a 38-year-old first-year head coach. So, like, growth was needed. Again, when you're banking on, we've talked so much about Anthony Richardson, we probably get lost in the Steichen shuffle. And, you know, a lot of people say, hey, it's the NFL. We don't have time to grow with head coaches, which, you know, is probably a different subject because, you know, it's difficult. Do you go with the retread coaches? Is it Sean Payton in Denver? Or is it, hey, let's find, you know, the hot coordinator, i.e. Steichen, off that Super Bowl run? So, I guess I just play that clip in general to say, where does Steichen grow? Because there are times I find it unfair to group Steichen in with Ballard. I think the resumes are totally different.
Mm-hmm. And I also think a head coach is completely bound to what his quarterback is capable of doing for him.
But then he deserves a lot of blame for that, right?
Some of it, yeah.
Because he wanted
I mean,
Anthony Richardson. And, like, should Steichen and Ballard be tied at the hip?
One of the things I've always looked at, you were talking about offenses and what makes him better, and I think the really good offensive coordinators and head coaches do this with good talent of quarterbacks. It's obviously a key combination, but it's probably weighted a little more towards quarterback. You're not going to win in the National Football League unless you're averaging at least 7.7, 7.8 or more yards per pass attempt. It just doesn't happen. You can talk about running the ball all you want. If you don't have a quarterback that's in that range, you're not going to win a lot of football games.
Like, James, Shane Steichen has been better at his job than Chris Ballard has been at his job. I believe that statement.
Yes, but where are you going with this?
So should Carly Ursay-Gordon factor that into her opinion when it's time to make decisions on them? Or because Chris Ballard is the GM and Shane Steichen's the head coach and NFL teams tie people at the hip in those positions, they should be tied at the hip. Does 6 years more of service for Ballard impact him more than Steichen?
Man, I would lean probably more towards them being tied at the hip. And I go back to his comments about, you know, growth, and perhaps he's dwindled his list from 6 or 7 things to 3. But, again, what does that mean when we got to see some results? We have to see what that means on the actual football field. You know, are guys going to be tougher or more dependable or have a higher standard? Because I understand you had to grow in your role, but you don't get a pass for what you've kind of allowed happen the last couple of years. And again, I lean towards him being a very good play caller still. I know people will probably roll their eyes at that to a degree, but no, I have to give him some flowers with some of the quarterbacks he's worked with the last few years. But I don't know if I can absolve him or even untie him from Chris Ballard. Like, no, you still decided to bring Anthony Richardson here, and you still are leading your team. And in some of the biggest inflection points throughout your tenure, you have fallen flat with your messaging. So can that change?
On the other side, we've got a little bit of an Anthony Richardson potential trade sort of update from ESPN. So we'll share that info coming up next.
We'll do that, and we'll go inside Mark's mind, too. That's coming up next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. You would literally just get lost in the sea of human being.
He looked thick.
Not only was it long, but it was deep and wide. People excited.
Pull that, Mark.
I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it really quickly.
Whoa.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Fairly new, and this is Amazon, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the newest of the bunch. This is Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime.
But not tonight, because it's the season opener.
Right. There's confusion. Yes, it is on NBC. And then tomorrow night's game will be on YouTube and YouTube TV.
There you go.
So figure that all out.
Now you're up to 8. I might be I'll probably be dual screening it with the Fever tomorrow night because I do need to win that basketball game. We'll talk more about that later. Kevin, you were mentioning trade. I don't even know what we'd call it. Just talk about Anthony Richardson if something might happen in the future or whatever. What were you referring to?
Yeah, so ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Dan Graziano had this report and kind of a week one buzzing news update, if you will. Derek Jackson, Richardson's agent, did meet in person with Chris Ballard. Again, we had heard from Stephen Holder that there were just some questions about, question of trust from the Richardson camp with the Colts organization. But they met in person last week with Chris Ballard to clear the air. Jackson, again, he is Richardson's agent, called the meeting very constructive and just a chance for the sides to let feelings be known, though a trade was not requested. The topic was broached in the meeting. Ballard reinforced Indy has no plans to trade Richardson, still believes in the quarterback. Richardson isn't making any waves. He'll remain professional, backing up Jones and maintaining his readiness. But part of the camp's frustration is that all parties acknowledge patience would be required when Richardson was drafted. So that update from ESPN, Jeremy Fowler, Dan Graziano.
All right, we'll keep an eye on all that. Mark, in the meantime, I know you've, as always, you're wondering about a lot of things all the time. We're here to help you out.
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies.
What?
High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
You ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you punks, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
Well, Mark Dykton, you are off and running here on a Thursday morning, day one of the 2025 NFL season. What have you got?
All right, boys. Well, we're talking all NFL. Look at this little NFL theme going on here. All right, let's talk NFL. Let's go through it right now. I need division winners in the AFC. Let's go around the horn. Let's start with the AFC North. I have the Ravens winning the AFC North. Kevin, what about you?
I'll go Bengals.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm going to go Bengals as well. This is going to be a Joe Burrow type year.
It's a Joe Burrow type year every year, and they still do not win the division. Shout out to the Ravens, who I'm picking. They don't have a defense. What are we doing?
All right, AFC East, Buffalo Bills. I see them still owning that division.
They are the next iteration of the New England Patriots up there. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, I can't pick against the Bills. The rest of that division kind of stinks.
Yeah, I am curious what New England will do with Drake May and Mike Vrabel. I thought May showed some things late in the year.
I think they're the second best team in that division.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to write off Miami just yet. But yes, I will go with Buffalo.
AFC South. I'm going to be, late to the party if the Colts finally get a division win. So I'm going to say the Texans.
Yes, indeed. Houston Texans for the third straight year.
I got to go Texans. Quarterback play has determined a lot in this division the last few years, and they have the best quarterback. Simple as that.
I've said 10 wins. Colts!
Oh, boy.
Let's go.
All right.
You're part of that 7% of ultimately pessimistic Colts fans over there.
No, I thought that was I thought 93%.
Yeah.
You're in the 7%.
What's your reasoning there, Jeff? Give us some points here that we should be using as optimism.
I think the rest of the division sucks. I think other than quarterback, it's a I like what they've done on. Look, I like what they've done on defense.
You think Houston sucks?
Really? I was about to say what? they're okay. Hey, this is what you're saying. Okay.
I would ask more the why on why does Houston suck versus the other.
Did you see them last year? They weren't burning down any bridges
last year. They won a playoff game, didn't they?
I mean, they've
won a playoff game the last couple of years.
To the
All right, so maybe sucks
years.
is overboard, but I like the Colts to finally win more games than they lose within the division. I do think they'll start off 2-1 in the first 3 weeks of the season. You can all laugh at me later, but that's where I'm heading.
No, I don't mind the decision, but man, the reasoning, brother, this is like me giving like a speech when a project was due.
Okay, then I'll double down. I'm trying to move it along. But if you want, I love what they've done defensively. I like that they've solidified that secondary. I like the draft pick that they made this year on the edge. I think Latu's going to take a step forward this year. I believe that the offensive line is capable, and they have one of the best running backs behind them. And I'll say this about Daniel Jones. Just don't screw it up.
There we go.
That's all he has to do.
There we go. All right.
Don't screw it up.
Those are
and
solid
I like
reasons.
the receiving core.
Well, we know that. All right, AFC West. I'm saying the Chiefs until otherwise notified.
Chargers.
Ooh, I like that.
If you think I will pick against Taylor Swift,
yeah,
you got another thing coming,
Kelsey moved like me in the Super Bowl last year.
It don't matter. He got there.
How many division titles do you think Kansas City's won in a row now?
I'm going to guess 7.
9.
Is it really 9?
So they must have won a couple before Mahomes, yeah.
Alex Smith, baby.
They have owned that division. I think Denver's and look, the Chargers have gotten better too. I think both teams have gotten better, but they're not Kansas City good yet.
I'm never picking against Mahomes or, again, Taylor Swift.
All right, let's get your 3 wild card teams in the AFC. I'm going Bengals, Chargers, Broncos.
Ooh. Ravens. Got the Colts at 9-8. Is 9-8 enough?
In the AFC?
You're going to have to win some tiebreakers.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go Ravens, Broncos, Patriots.
All right. I picked the Colts to win the division, so I will go Broncos, Texans, Ravens.
Those crappy Texans are making the playoffs.
I'm going to go Bengals, Broncos, and maybe Dolphins.
Okay. All right. That's interesting there. I like that. I like
Dolphins,
the smorgasbord we got there.
I know.
That's the beautiful part of the NFL, though.
They got 2. If he can stay healthy, maybe they can do something. We'll see.
All right. NFC North. I've got the Detroit Lions. Despite all the losses in the coaching staff, they still find a way. They still have that offense humming with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and and Jahmyr Gibbs and whatnot. The Lions will still take the NFC North.
Packers.
Kevin, come on.
Yep. Losing the coordinators for the Lions, I think, is a very underrated element to it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I think adding Micah Parsons puts that defense on a different level. They were good anyway. Puts them on a completely different level. They can run the football. We know that with Josh Jacobs. I like the draft pick of Golden. I like the Packers.
How dare you? How dare all of you?
The Bears.
Whoa.
Give me Caleb Williams.
Boy. Shockingly, the 2 Illinois natives have picked the Chicago Bears.
Shockingly,
He didn't pick them.
I didn't pick them.
I picked the Bears. I'm doing this for shock value more than anything else. I have no valid reasoning other than Caleb Williams will be better than last year.
Mark probably has the Bears going like 2-15.
No. All right, NFC East, I've got the Eagles. I think they take care of business tonight, and they just kind of cruise the NFC East once again.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Part of me wants to pick Washington, but yeah, I will go with Philly.
I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
I think both those teams are really good. I could see both those teams winning at least 12 games.
I would pick the Cowboys if Jerry Jones gave me a Kawhi Leonard deal, but since that's on the table, I'll go with the Eagles.
Get your damn act together.
I get a little side money there. I'll roll with you, Jerry, but I need some incentives.
All right, NFC East, I've got the Bucks, but it's going to be
the
close.
NFC South, you mean?
NFC South, yeah. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the Falcons, but I think it's a 2-team race. I've got the Bucks prevailing.
Yeah, that's probably pretty
I'm
smart
going to go with the Bucks as well. Shout out to Mike Evans. He is one of my favorite players of all time. I know he's kind of underrated. I think he's only got 1 All-Pro selection in his career.
Which is crazy.
Every year he gets 8 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, and he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer someday.
And best thing to happen to him late in his career is Baker Mayfield loves him some Mike Evans.
Yeah, well, also I'd argue the best thing to happen to him was Tom Brady coming for a year or 2.
I'll go Falcons. I think the Falcons are a surprise team this year. I like Michael Penix Jr. a lot. They were there until they kind of bottomed out late in the season. I love their skill group. I will go with Raheem Morris and the Falcons.
All right, NFC West. I thought long and hard about this one. I originally had the Rams, but Matt Stafford's back issue has me concerned, so I'm going to say the 49ers get back to it. They are going to be one of the teams that makes the playoffs that didn't make it last year.
Okay. Who's Seattle's starting quarterback? Why am I blanking on this?
Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Got the bag.
He did get the bag.
And Cooper
to go
Kupp
there.
is there now, too?
Yeah. I got to go with the Rams. I like Matthew Stafford. I think he's honestly one of the most underrated quarterbacks of this era and probably all time. I mean, he spent a lot of years losing with the Detroit Lions, but not his fault. That guy can ball. So as long as the back is intact, I'm rolling with him.
Look at that.
I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. I like what he's done with Brock Purdy. He gets a little bit better each year. They got to keep him healthy, and they got to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy. That's the key for them. If Christian McCaffrey's healthy, there's just no better weapon in the NFL. Jamar Gibbs, I apologize, but, man, Christian McCaffrey is nails.
I think I saw it's the only division that has all 4 teams with their over-under at 7.5 or higher. Like, some people are higher than Arizona. So I do think this is one of the more competitive 1-4 divisions in all of football. Yeah. I will go with the Rams. I hear you out, Mark, on the back. I do think Jimmy G is a pretty quality backup if you do have to do that for a month or so. I am not going to bet against Sean McVay.
To your point, though, real quickly for the Cardinals, though, the reason people are starting to like them, Kyler Murray's Kyler Murray, kind of is what he is. He can play. He does some really good things. But that skill group now, Marvin Harrison Jr. is ready to explode this year. They've got a terrific McBride as a fantastic tight end. Not only do they have one of the most consistent running backs in James Conner, but they got a guy, Benson, pushing him a little bit, too. They got a really nice skill group there.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're up against it, so let's do NFC wildcard real quick, and we always circle back to this after a couple interviews and do Super Bowl picks and whatnot. NFC wildcard, I've got Commanders, Packers, Bears.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Lions, Commanders, Cowboys.
Commanders, Packers, Vikings.
Well, since I picked Commanders to win that division, I will go Eagles, Lions, and Rams.
Okay. There you go. We can maybe get into Super Bowl picks after that. But we've got Zach Kiefer coming up next. So
all right.
We'll talk to him.
That's next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I know it's Thursday night, Mark Dykton, but this is the one for me. And this is the soundtrack of the NFL in my youth. On Monday night, everybody cleared their schedule. It didn't matter. If you had homework, you got that thing done and out of the way. And my mom and dad, God bless them, would let me stay up to watch all of Monday Night Football as a kid.
Glorious. This does give me goosebumps, though. This is awesome.
Every time. And they went away for a while, and then they finally brought it back. But, man, those were lean Monday Night Football years when they went away from, but they were doing crazy things. Remember the Dennis Miller experiment and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Was it Kornheiser on there?
Yeah, they were trying everybody everywhere. We have somebody rock solid, though, that we're happy to have join us all the time. Zach Kiefer, terrific writer from The Athletic, kind enough to spend a few minutes with us this morning here on the Fan Morning Show on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Your all-time favorite NFL theme, Zach Kiefer, is?
I just heard it. I'm with you. I'm with you. That's the one, man.
There we go. Knew I liked Zach Kiefer.
Zach, excellent work on your piece in The Athletic of why, and I should probably look up the exact title, but basically why young quarterbacks fail in the leagues, particularly high picks. The amount of voices you got, the gravitas of those voices, I thought really stood out to me. Honestly, my favorite anecdote, and boy, I tried to say it to Jeff and James yesterday, and they both looked at me like I was an idiot. I love the Matt Hasselbeck builders and realtors analogy from yesterday that you shared. It kind of compared it to scouts and coaches of, sometimes, they're in the same business, but they've got different, sorts of agendas and what they want to look for in a particular player. Was there a particular anecdote or an analogy that you heard? Because there are a ton of them throughout. Peyton Manning had one as well that you really enjoyed in your piece.
Yeah, I didn't know. Peyton, I almost felt like Peyton's therapist at times. And I certainly felt like Alex Smith's therapist. If you read the story, he kind of details how dark it was his first couple years in San Francisco, 7 coordinators in 7 years. He had to yell towards the sideline as a rookie to ask the coaches if he could get into shotgun. He was watching film alone. He was basically huge imposter syndrome, just waiting for the team to realize they'd made a huge mistake. But the signature moment for me in this entire project, it obviously started with a Kevin O'Connell quote. The Vikings coach said last year on the Rich Eisen show, organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations, right? So that's how it started. So I asked a bunch of quarterbacks about what it's really like as a rookie. In my mind, Andrew Luck was as good as I've ever seen a rookie quarterback play, right? C.J. Stroud was excellent 2 years ago. Jaden Daniels was excellent. It doesn't matter. They were all really, really good. It's very rare. And Andrew paused for a long time after I asked him that question, what it was really like in 2012. And he said, it was everything you think it was in terms of the stress and the pressure, and then you pour some gasoline on it. And I told that to Kevin O'Connell, and he was silent for a couple seconds. And he said, that validates everything I've ever thought about the position. If that guy, who was as ready, as polished, as prolific as any rookie quarterback coming in the league we've seen in 20 years, if that guy thinks it was really hard and he was swimming above water, then imagine how hard it is for the rest of them.
So you know me, Zach, as the resident hater, I'm looking at Kevin O'Connell like, okay, you talked all this big game. J.J. McCarthy better not stink this year, or I'm going to have questions about this whole process. But no, I do wonder, though. He's talked a big game, and obviously we've seen some of his work more recently, obviously with Sam Darnold. But that is a question I have is, okay, what does it look like now when you have to start over to a degree this year? But looking at it from an organizational standpoint, what was it like to get so many players to open up from that perspective and kind of reveal why they believe it wasn't just their fault? Because I think that's the easy route, right? Even right now in Indianapolis, a lot of it, and I still think the majority of it probably falls on Anthony Richardson, but it's so easy to say it's his fault because he didn't perform.
Yeah, let's go back to the combine. And I think I was sitting next to you in the stands at Lucas Oil, James. This was 2 years ago when the Colts had the number 4 overall pick. We were about 20, 25 rows up from the field, and I remember seeing Shane Steichen down there with Jim Bob Cooter, his OC. Shane had just been hired. Everybody knew they were picking a quarterback. As I wrote in the story, it was basically an ultimatum. So what happened that day at the combine? Anthony Richardson stole the show, right? He threw it 75 yards. He did a backflip afterwards. The crowd was going crazy. He won the underwear Olympics. What was the other thing that happened that day that was way more impressive? C.J. Stroud was the best quarterback on the field.
I remember
he was
this.
way more accurate. And I remember walking out of there, and all people were talking about was Richardson. And I remember being like, did you see the throws? Like, the throws matter. And so, that scene stuck to me. And you're right. Like, a lot of this is on the quarterback. And I'm not going to omit the quarterback, and I don't want my piece to sort of excuse the blame. And that's something Matt Ryan said. He also apologized to the Ball State fans for taking a shot.
It's too late now.
In the story, but Matt was like, the first thing he said was like, well, wait a minute, it's on the quarterback too. And a lot of these guys just don't know it. But I think there is certainly a level of responsibility with the organization from the minute they get into town to help them develop as a quarterback. The thing that bugs me and that bothers me and that really surprises me is that I've had this conversation with Chris Ballard for years before they even drafted a quarterback, on the fact that it's not just drafting the dude, it's having a plan once they get into town. And the Colts have still screwed this up royally, leading us to this moment now where essentially they're hitting the reset button with their 23-year-old quarterback.
It's why you, frankly, have an athletic subscription, the Bust Files, how NFL teams break young quarterbacks. Wonderful, wonderful job by Zach Kiefer on this piece. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Zach, the Chris Ballard quote, and there are multiple ones in there, but I thought one that stood out because I don't recall him saying this about it's easier to find one being a young quarterback. It's easier to find one when you've got one. He referenced Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. He referenced Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Those are back-to-back drafts. When do you think the Colts could have done that or should have done that? And I know I'm asking you to put on some 2020 hindsight glasses.
So this is the one I always go back to, KB, and it doesn't add up, and it probably couldn't have happened. But this is what they should have done. They should not have traded the first-round pick in 2020 to the San Francisco 49ers to get DeForest Buckner, who has been a terrific player. They should have tried to move up and go get Justin Herbert that year. And it would have taken a little bit. I think he went number 6 overall, right behind Tua. But that's when you do it. They wanted to lean on patience. They wanted to go get Phillip Rivers for a year. They probably thought 2. And that was fine. And Rivers was really good. He's been the best of the post-luck quarterbacks, I think. But the reality is they were too patient. And they didn't have one. And that quote is, I never heard Ballard say that either. That was so fascinating to me. That's what he would tell Irsay. It's easier to find one when you've got one. And you guys know this from being in those conversations with Ballard and Irsay for years. The pressure ratcheted up. I'll never forget being on Irsay's balcony in Arizona at the owners' meetings. And we were asking about Lamar Jackson, who wanted out of Baltimore at this time. And it didn't seem like a logical thing that we were going to go get Lamar. And Irsay said, I want my own. He wanted his own. He wanted to draft one. The decision was made. They were going to draft one at 4. And the crazy part is, if they didn't get Richardson, you remember they said they were going to draft Richardson number 1 overall if they had that pick. Now, maybe that's just exaggeration, and maybe that's just something you say after the draft, but that's a ridiculous consideration at this point in time. But secondly, Irsay said after the draft, well, if Richardson wasn't there, we would have just gone Levis. It was quarterback or else, and that is a bad way of doing things because Richardson has already been benched twice. Levis has been benched. And honestly, if they're going to have great futures in this league, chances are they're not going to come with the team that drafted them.
Zach, I do want to clarify this point. I know you mentioned in the story that Irsay pushed for Anthony Richardson to play earlier. And I guess the clarity I'm looking for is some of the reaction is, oh my gosh, why is he saying that now, reporting this now? You know, it makes it seem like Jim Irsay was the one calling all the shots. But how involved was he in that decision? And also, how much did the other players in that party have a chance to maybe voice their opinion, i.e. Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard?
Yeah, I mean, we reported this, that Irsay didn't order them to play Anthony Richardson by any means. He wanted to see the kid play. He's on the record saying he's got to play. He was in the camp of, yeah, he only played 13 college games. How do you grow? You grow by playing, right? And that was a lot of people what they thought at the time. I think I was in the pretty strong minority thinking he needed to sit because he just didn't have enough college experience. I mean, Peyton Manning stunk as a rookie, thought he was going to get benched 6 quarters into his career. And that dude played 48 college games, 48. And the other part of this, and I talked to Ballard about this, is Richardson did not grow up like a lot of these quarterbacks grow up. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but he wasn't at all the camps, and he wasn't like a top prospect growing up, despite all of his physical talent. So there was a maturation process that's going to need to happen once he gets to the pros. And it's just stunning to me because Shane Steichen threw him in there. After one preseason game, they named him the starter. And Ballard let it happen. And I think both of them, if they could go back in time, would alter that decision and have him sit behind Gardner Minshew. And it's easy to say it now, but that's kind of what Ballard was saying was the hardest thing is oftentimes the right thing is often the hardest thing to do in the moment. And they cowered, really. Like the hardest thing to do at that moment is to tell the fans, wait, this guy needs to wait. He needs to sit. I know you're going to be mad. I know we're going to have this Lamborghini on the sideline that we're not going to get out there, but we need to wait. And Ballard wishes he had done that. But he said, look, like the only way you learn these lessons is by going through it. And so we'll see if they can get it right now. I don't think it's too late. Richardson's still 23, but this was not simply an Irsay decision to play him in 2023.
Why don't you think it's too late? Because I think it is to a degree. You've benched him twice now through the first 3 years, and there's no clear plan for his future here. I know they keep saying they believe in him, but on the flip side, he also has to believe in them.
Good question, James. I thought your story detailed where his head is at pretty well yesterday, because this has been a roller coaster, right? This has been a roller coaster for him. It'll be interesting to see how he responds. But sometimes young quarterbacks need this. Sometimes they need this. They need a humbling. They need to sit and watch. I honestly believe the Colts think to get Anthony Richardson close to his ceiling, if he ever gets there in this league, I think the Colts, and by that I mean Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, believe he gets there if he sits this season, if he sits and watches. I just think it'll be the best thing. They think that it'll be the best thing for the long-term prospects of his career. Who's the Colts quarterback next year? Like, I don't have a clue. It could be anybody. It could be Jones. It could be Richardson. It could be Riley Leonard. It could be anybody. That's the unknown right now. And I think Richardson plays this season at some point based on the last couple of years and how they've gone. They've played multiple quarterbacks every year since I can remember, except maybe going back to the Carson Wentz year. And so I think that's where we're at right now with him is this team is the future is very murky, and there's very much an open door at that position. And I think there's no reason why Richardson won't be competing for the starting job next year unless Daniel Jones just balls out all season, which I don't think very many people in Indianapolis outside the Colts building think is going to happen.
What happens if this team goes 9-8 and Daniel Jones is okay, and maybe in a few games Anthony Richardson plays and he's okay? Now what?
Yeah, man, Jeff, is that not the worst situation for this team, right?
Right.
Like, do you run it back? Remember, you got a GM on the hot seat, depending on what Carly Irsay thinks. You got a coach maybe in the same realm. I'm not so sure on him. Like, do you run it back? Is mediocre okay? Carly Irsay's words, mediocre is not okay. They're tired of running in circles. This team is tired of being mediocre in a mediocre division and missing out on the playoffs. I think a home playoff game would matter a lot. I think that would matter a lot. That would mean a division championship. That would mean that streak is over. And a home playoff game was very important to Jim Irsay. That's how he measured the barometer of, success. That's the first thing. If you want to have a successful season, the first step is to host a home playoff game. You do that by winning the division. If this team does that, I think suddenly the door opens to running it back. Maybe that's not the long-term play they want, but I just feel like considering they've come short of that so many times doing things the other way the last couple of years, I feel like that would finally feel like some momentum in January instead of the last couple of years, which has been utter disappointment, confusion, and failure.
Always good to talk to you, Zach. Keep working hard. I'm glad The Athletic let you do your thing, man, and we appreciate it. We always like reading it, and thanks for coming on.
Great work, Zach.
Ended on a good note. Thanks, guys.
I got a spot for you at the game if you want to stop by.
He didn't even respond to you, or did Mark take him off the air?
No, he popped off.
Okay.
Yeah, he hung up at that request. He's probably going to be at a bigger game, I would imagine, week 1.
I feel like a 9-8 season for the Colts. That's called the circle of suck or NFL purgatory for a franchise.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as NFL purgatory. NFL purgatory is NFL hell.
Yeah.
Because when you're just sitting there like mediocre, not making the playoffs, not having a decent draft pick, and the fan base is already like
that's worse. You would rather be terrible. You'd rather be drafted in the top 5.
Yeah.
That's why I need this team to go 10-7 and win the division. I need it to happen. Because otherwise, what are you going to do with Daniel Jones? If they're okay and they're 9-8.
Aren't you still in purgatory?
I was say, if you go
that?
10-7, aren't you in the same situation? Because then you're like, are we bringing back Daniel Jones?
Are you franchise tagging Daniel Jones?
Because at that point,
I think
you don't have a good
depends on the 10 wins that you have. Doesn't it make a difference on who you're starting to beat?
I don't know. Then you're still in the quarterback carousel. Are we bringing back Daniel Jones?
Part.
Are we doing Anthony Richardson?
And
then you have a worse draft pick on top of it.
That's the part where I push back on Zach when he's saying, oh, they could open up the competition again next year for Anthony Richardson. Yes, you could, but who's buying into that? I mean,
well, no one. There is, guys, to be frank, there's no result this year that would make fans, I think, truly buy in. No result. I mean, you could go 12-5, and people are still going to say, was this Daniel Jones' 2022 season? This is going to have to be a multi-year thing.
I ain't going to lie, 12-5, I might start drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I might say the Giants are cooked and they don't know how to, develop
Danny
players.
Dimes, baby.
But
70% completion, 12 wins. Let's go.
I think when you haven't won a division title in 10 years, to truly win it back, you're going to have a multi-year win of it back, I guess.
The thing you sell fan bases on is hope. And if you don't have anything to hang your hat on as a franchise, as a team, looking into week 1, you almost do want to bottom out because then at least there's the hope that they get it right in the draft
right
in
the
April.
Hope that
the hope that the next guy is coming.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like with this itineration, there is no hope.
And if they bottom out, seriously, if this were a scenario where they end up with a top 5 pick, you better believe it should be a quarterback.
Oh, well, obviously. Think about what Zach just brought up right there. He brought up, hey, they should have taken Justin Herbert in that 2020 draft. So the Colts had the 13th pick. What did they do? They were stuck in purgatory. Zach wanted them to trade up to whatever. Herbert was the 6th pick, I think he was. I think Burrow went 1, Tua went 5, Herbert went 6. Yes, you could have done that, but again, to truly get up there, you have to be really bad. Because at that point, there are other teams in the top 5, top 6 that are probably going to want those quarterbacks. That same draft had Jordan Love in the 20s, had Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. So there were other avenues to explore there. One little sneaky item for Sunday. Watch the old kicker battle. It's a 1-point spread in this game. So in all likelihood, this could very well come down to the right leg of one Riley Patterson or one Spencer Schrader. We know Spencer Schrader's resume, just 5 field goals kicked in the NFL, none from longer than 50 yards. Riley Patterson is the backup kicker in Miami. Jason Sanders, their very accomplished kicker, is out for this game with an injury, so they have brought Riley Patterson in here, and he wasn't very good last year in the NFL. 4 of 7 across 3 teams. So kicker questions on both sidelines coming up for Sunday afternoon.
All I know is if it doesn't go well this year, Blue and I are going to be over in the corner of Lucas Oil just drowning our sorrows and throwing them back.
In the Allegiant bucket?
Yeah, we'll just give up. Just give up.
Can Blue digest liquids? Or is that costume not liquid?
Blue can do anything.
Blue's the most accurate quarterback the Colts have had in quite a while. Have you seen that man throw from the upper deck?
Yeah, right into the barrels.
Also throws a stiff arm on kids like no one's business.
You see his toss at the IMS too?
Got to teach him how to compete.
Up on the pagoda, chucked one down there.
Blue's it.
Great talent.
I'm all about Blue. All right, let's check it down, Mark Dyke.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Kevin Bowen, you more interested in updating people on any potential Colts injuries after the first report came out yesterday, or the fact that they've got NFL football to look forward to tonight?
Well, let's keep it local. We are the local show here. How about all 53 Colts practicing yesterday? How about 52 of them doing it fully? Tyler Goodson, running back, could be the backup to Jonathan Taylor, the only guy that was limited, left elbow injury for him. So, yes, it is a very healthy bunch. Even if you go back to training camp, yes, you had a couple of rookies suffer unfortunate season-ending injuries, but all things considered, it's probably one of the healthier Week 1 rosters I can recall.
You said that Goodson was kind of flexing that elbow a little bit yesterday, James, when you saw him?
Yes, still working through probably some pain, I would imagine, but it was good to see him out there, and we will see how that shakes out as far as the RB2 role, because right now it appears that DJ Giddens, the rookie out of Kansas State, will slide to that role come Sunday.
Sunday afternoon at 1. That's the kick time. We'll have the ride to kick off with JMV beginning at 9 a.m. here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. All the pregame with the network right up until kickoff, and then Greg Rakestraw will get you on the drive home or after the game with the post-game show on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Thursday night football, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles. It's all NFC East. The defending Super Bowl champions at home, an 8.5-point favorite over the Cowboys. It'll be interesting to see what Jason Hammer has to say about that. Mark Dykton coming up next.
Yeah, he's up next, so that should be interesting because I need some winners, and I'm curious. Yeah, because I like the Eagles in this one, and I'd be curious if he's taking the points in the Cowboys.
I want winners, right?
Yes.
That's how that goes. All right, they are set for the semifinals for the men at the U.S. Open, as are the women. The men, Yannick Sinner is going up against Felix Auger-Aliassime, and one side. On the other side,
that sounded beautiful. Your
Novak
pronunciation
Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz. If you follow tennis, you have to learn those things.
It's like the U.S. Open is like a month and a half long. Like,
Oh,
are we
so
not done with this yet? Is
2
it
weeks.
Still going?
I will tell you this.
It's 2 weeks.
I will
didn't
tell
know
you
that.
this. A nighttime matchup with a marquee player at the U.S. Open is as electric an athletic event as you will ever find. That crowd is lit and ready to go, and the players lean into it. It is a special, special time.
I'll take your word for it. I'll vote for a night SEC football game.
But I'm telling you, the energy's right up there with it.
Man, just poo-pooed all over his stuff, man.
That's all right.
I mean, that's like me trying to hype up a golf match. Have you ever seen Sunday at a golf? I mean, come on. There are some other sporting
I was
events
going to say, you did do this on the show.
that are a little bit. Yeah, I'm not trying to act like.
Tennis has a little more
I'm like, what?
athletic activity on a moment-to-moment basis than golf
it's head-to-head.
does. Let's
Look,
be honest.
I have heard from many people that, yes, in-person tennis is great. I tend to think there are some other atmospheres in sports that probably put that a little bit further down the list.
Again, to me, it's like having kids. Why do you always have to? It's just a great experience. Why can't it just be a great experience?
If I have over 2 kids, meaning if I have 3 or more, I'm ranking them.
That's what it is in the Dykton household.
There you go.
You were first, now you're third. How are we going to have a better day tomorrow?
All right, that's where we're at. I mentioned this in the first hour, but for those who slept in a little bit, God bless you. Wish I could do that with you. Huge numbers for watching college football over the weekend. Texas, Ohio State, 17 million viewers. There were 4 games over the weekend that had 10 million or more viewers, including Bama, FSU, Notre Dame, Miami, and LSU, Clemson. All this talk about the sport is never going to be the same. It's dead. It's paper, whatever. People just want to watch football. That's all they want to do is watch football.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just the tradition of the sport and all these conferences realigning. I mean, UCLA is in the Big Ten. What are we doing? But from an actual viewing standpoint, yeah, I don't care what they do with the conferences. I will be tuning in every Saturday.
Yeah. Cubs lost to the Braves yesterday 5-1. They're pretty much locked into the wild card at this point, Mark. So
yeah,
no need to worry too much. Cincinnati Reds are not locked into much of anything right now. They lose again to the Toronto Blue Jays 13-9. St. Louis Cardinals over the A's by a score of 5-1. Anything else you guys want to throw in? I know there's some IndyCar news yesterday, Kevin.
Yeah, Will Power going to Team Andretti, so quite the move there. Again, Team Penske had enough of Will Power, I guess, after 17 years, but I think Will Power's got a little bit left in the tank there, and so he was the highest finisher in Team Penske this year from a point standings. And then Colton Herta over to F1 as the test driver there. Again, Dan Towers has that F1 team, the Cadillac team, and so there are some ties there specifically to that. So in 2 ways, this kind of benefits him. He feels like in a couple of different avenues, and that Will Power comes over to the IndyCar team, and Colton Herta heads over there. So silly season abound, and I know Jake Query will have a lot more on this coming up at noon.
Yeah, Jake and Kurt and Kevin certainly in their element right now. And finally, James, I want to update everybody on the situation that the Indiana Fever find themselves in this morning as they wake up.
Yes, they're in the 8th seed. They got some help last night from the Atlanta Dream, who took down the Sparks, who are trailing the Fever in the standings for that final playoff spot. And then, like I said earlier throughout the show, the Fever got a big break potentially tomorrow night with Angel Reese scheduled to miss the game due to suspension because she got her 8th technical foul last night, which is an automatic 1-game suspension. I doubt that the league would rescind that technical foul because she essentially backhand slapped somebody in the face, which you can't do on a basketball court.
Remember back in the day, I don't know if you might be too young for this, but when the Pistons were doing their thing, Rasheed Wallace was like leading the league in technical fouls. Like every other night was getting one. Is she becoming that for the WNBA now?
Nah, I mean, the GOAT down in Taurasi got suspended for games for technical fouls. So, sometimes you run hot. You get a little competitive. It is what it is.
I loved watching Rasheed Wallace play. That guy was fun. All right. Anything else before we head to break? Because Jason Hammer's coming in here.
I'm ready for Hammer.
Find a way to make us all some money. Even you, Mark. How about that?
I could use it.
All right, that's next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's money-making time. It's that time of year. NFL starts tonight. Cowboys-Eagles. Colts will play their season opener on Sunday afternoon over at the Lucas Oil against the Miami Dolphins. And joining us now on the Payless Liquors Hotline in studio, a man who generally takes up residence in the afternoons over at WIBC, part of Hammer and Nigel. Jason Hammer is here to make us all a little bit extra coin.
We're going to try,
this week
man.
And moving forward, right?
We are going to try. Now, Mark and Kevin back me up here. Last year on Thursdays, we went on a bit of a heater, right?
Correct. Yes.
We did very well last year on Thursdays. So the old gambling adage is water finds its level. So I'm due to just stink this year.
No, we don't want that.
Oh,
we
this
don't
is
want to hear
bad
that.
juju. We don't want to hear that.
No, we don't want to hear that.
See, I'm pulling a Lou Holtz right here. I'm setting the expectations low, so that way when we have amazing success, it looks like this huge successful story.
Such is the respect for your expertise in this area. Kevin Bowen ceded his seat to you and is taking notes on everything you say over in Mark Dykton's area right now.
I wouldn't be in this studio if it weren't for Jason Hammer's immense amount of money that he sent to the Bowen family last year via these Thursday segments. So, Jason Hammer, thank you.
The last time we all got together was the show before the Super Bowl. And if you recall, it was a generational run during that Super Bowl.
Right.
We got first touchdown. We got the last touchdown, which was, I believe, like 10-1. And we made so much money, we were above the law. That's the goal, right? We want to make so much money. If you get pulled over, you can get your gambling ticket out and go, I think we know what's going on here.
I feel like I'm 20 seconds away from Jason busting out, I've got the game of the century, but you've got to listen this afternoon to Hammer and Nigel.
Right. I'm sunglasses indoors guy, right?
All right, all that aside, the NFL kicks off tonight. Dallas Cowboys are 8.5-point underdogs in Philadelphia tonight.
So this was 6.5 before the Micah Parsons trade. Now, with all due respect to Micah Parsons, who is a bad man, 2 points for a linebacker trade in a divisional game on week 1, that's absurd to me. That's a quarterback number. Like if we woke up this morning, take Kansas City, for example, and found out Patrick Mahomes injured his ankle, he's out of the lineup. That's a 2-point drop. Not a linebacker. The market has overreacted in such a way to this. I'm leaning the Cowboys tonight. Now, I'm not going to tell you they're going to sit here and win this thing tonight. Philly probably does find a way to pull this off. But Dak Prescott historically has played really well in Philly. His last 4 games, didn't play last year due to the injuries, but go back to December of 2023, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. December of 22, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. January 22, 5 touchdowns, 0 pick. And September of 21, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. Now, if my Beech Grove High School education is correct here, that's 13 touchdowns to 1 interception at one of the most hostile environments in the NFL. So Dak's not scared of this kind of thing. Cowboys are down a little bit, but again, we don't need them to win. We need him to hang around. And 8.5 for a divisional opponent, especially in week 1, that feels like a big number to me.
Even on the road.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like 8.5, and shout out to the Beech Grove Hornets and that education right there from Jason Hammer. Okay, individual player props. I know you always throw a couple at us. What else do you like here outside of just the 8.5 line?
So let's look at Dak Prescott passing attempts. If the Cowboys are going to either be in this game or playing from behind, depending on how you want to look at it, it ain't because of the running game. 36.5 is the number of attempts that I see listed for Dak Prescott tonight. We're going to ride the lightning, and we're going to go over 36.5 passing attempts. And if you want some juice, I always like to give you a plus number here. You know, we don't want to be a bunch of chalk-eating weasels. So let's go with A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown, plus 123. Has found the end zone in a lot of games late with the Eagles. It's got a good rapport going on. I'll take an anytime touchdown by A.J. Brown at plus money.
Yeah, it's hard to take an anytime touchdown for like Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley because you can't even get plus odds on those guys to score.
Even
the
first touchdown, which we got in the Super Bowl, tush push, it's not the juice you would want for a first touchdown because they get down to the goal line, you know what's coming. So we're going to go with A.J. Brown here. Anytime touchdown. I wish that number were a little bit higher, but plus 123.
So here's a sneaky one. I want to get your opinion on this. I like anytime touchdown from a guy who actually is got a better proportion of touchdowns to receptions than A.J. does. Devontae Smith, they find him in the end zone.
Yes. I've just been burned by him in the past, and I'm petty and I'm spiteful. And I
James
feel like,
appreciates that.
Yeah. There are certain people that just beat me no matter what I do. If I bet on Minnesota football, I'm going to get beat. Row your boat guy screws me every time. And anytime I bet a prop on Devontae Smith, he's on a roll. He's got all these touchdowns. He'll go out 3 catches, 8 yards. Like, that's just how it works for me.
Hammer, this makes probably no logical sense, but I always like to do the feel-good bets early in college football season. Hear me out on this, okay? It's a week 2 slate.
Okay.
Not a lot of marquee games coming up here in week 2. Chirp, chirp. Shout out to the Ball State Cardinals. We know Matt Ryan hates Muncie, but we do not. They are a 43.5-point underdog at Auburn coming up on Saturday. Is there any sort of, betting compass that you have where in the NFL sometimes I say if you're a double-digit, or if you're a 2-touchdown underdog, I'm taking you. 43.5 points? Do we not take Ball State, or am I just an idiot and too much of a local homer for that?
Ball State stinks, Kevin. And listen, I went to Ball State.
Wow.
I feel like I can say these things. I am one of them.
Touchdowns.
My first fake ID is hanging up on the wall at the Muncie liquor store right now.
Is there a picture that looks like you at least?
My fake ID had me listed as Colin McAtee, 2850 Aspen Road, Lexington, Kentucky. I still remember the information. He was my roommate on my first floor. Yeah. But boy, they're not very good.
Okay.
Here's what you can do, because there is the chance of the backdoor cover there, right? Take a look at Auburn first half. Should be around 24.5-ish. I haven't taken a look, but if you're looking to bet that one, go Auburn first half, because I love my friends in Funcy, but my goodness, they are not very good.
All right.
Hammer, I'll go here. The one from me, we're talking a lot of Colts lately on these airwaves.
Okay.
What are you looking at Colts-wise? And did any of your bets change with the quarterback change?
No, this was a game that if I didn't live in Indianapolis, I would avoid like the plague. Okay, so we
talked about this too. Yeah, it's not one that you really want to play.
Right. I feel like the Dolphins have the better quarterback, but talent-wise, it's not that big of a discrepancy. The Colts are at home. The line shifted originally. Dolphins were a 1-point favorite. Then a couple weeks ago, Colts became a 1-point favorite. If I'm playing this one, I'm looking at a player prop. And this is one I like a great deal. And I'm going to make this bet as soon as we get off the air. I think Danny Dimes is going to be Danny Dink and Dunk. So give me the new Colts tight end Warren over 3.5 receptions.
I love that. Hammer that.
That's the one we're going to take to the bank here.
That's the name of the show you have. Hammer that, right?
Degenerates Next Door. That's our show. We will bet against our mothers if we think we can win some money. We're not the good guys next door. We're the degenerates next door. Myself, Rob Kendall, and 2 local professional gamblers, Kenny Britt and David Stefanoff. We do this little podcast every Tuesday and Thursday.
Moving truck's going to show up at Jason's mom's house, and Jason's going to get there at the same time and go, Mom, I'm sorry. It was a bad week.
It was a bad break. Sorry. I mean, a pick 6. Who would have seen it coming?
Gosh, Warren 3.5 catches. That seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and there's a little juice attached to it here. It's the only number I see out there. I think it's like minus 150 something.
Okay.
It's a little juicy.
I might bump that to 4.5, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you. And Mark, your Chicago football Bears. Monday Night Football here. Home divisional dogs in week 1 since 2008 are barking, baby. 24-7. Home divisional dogs, scoop them up in week 1. I'm on the Bears plus 1.5. Bear down, baby. I don't think JJ is that dude. I think Chicago's a little better. They've got a competent coach now. I don't know if they're making the playoffs, but I'll take him at home in week 1.
Ben Johnson has faced, Brian Flores plenty of times, and he's had his way with them. So I'm on the Hammer train. I like it.
Can you produce a show? Because Tuesday morning, he's going to be useless.
Well, we were having a conversation before we came on the air here because we're both Cub fans. What's the strategy of taking out a young pitcher with a no-hitter through 5 with a pitch count of only 75 in a game that you kind of need to keep pace with the Milwaukee Brewers?
It's modern baseball with a bunch of number scrunchers running it from the general manager's office.
Craig Counsell
You said nerds
himself.
wrong. Yeah. Nerds is what I heard right there.
Yeah. Well, Craig Counsell overthinking and then sending in Ben Brown to give up the lead.
You think it's a Craig decision or a GM decision?
Craig needs to get out of the computer is what he needs to do.
Hey, thanks for coming by. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. And when can we hear your betting prowess again one more time?
Degenerates Next Door podcast. Wherever you get podcasts, find it. And remember, when I win, we all win. So if I have a winning night tonight, if we hit 2 out of 3, I'm bringing shots around the board next week.
Here we go.
Yeah!
Woo! All right, we'll get ready to send you on your way next. Thanks, Jason, for stopping by on the Payless Liquors Hotline. It's 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
There you go. Well, Carrie Underwood, Sunday Night Football. It's Thursday Night Football tonight.
You can tell it was an old one because it was Colts-Vikings. Seems like it's like, oh, man, the Colts did have a primetime game.
That was last year.
Yeah, that seems like it was a lot longer than that.
That was a Flacco start, Colts-Vikings. How much does Carrie Underwood make every time that song is played?
More than any of us will make this year.
I think it was more than Kawhi Leonard's making from Steve Ballmer.
Ooh. Enough where she can drive her key into her boyfriend's car and not have any issues.
Look at that.
That's a before she cheats reference right there.
We got that.
I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Wouldn't know if that was in your wheelhouse or not.
It's been around for a minute. So, yeah, we've got football on the air a little bit later on tonight. Mark, we ran out of some time with some of our NFL predictions a little while ago. You wanted to revisit that, I believe.
Yeah, we can do that. So, yeah, we stopped. We did division winners, did playoff things, all that. How about Super Bowl picks? Let's lay them out on the table here, boys. What are your Super Bowl picks and your winners as we enter game one tonight?
Packers over Bills.
Kevin.
Woo! Wow.
Packers over Bills. I would love that from like a pure market fandom standpoint.
Would you come to work the next day?
If the Packers, get in the Super Bowl?
If they win the Super Bowl.
I mean, I'll show up.
Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers win a Super Bowl or the Green Bay Packers win a Super Bowl?
Oh, God. Can I light myself on fire? I take that alternative. Probably, I guess, Aaron Rodgers, But, yeah, I'd rather not the Packers have it.
Packers over Bills.
I'm going to go Bills over Commanders. How about that? I believe, look, I've said this, I said it all at the end of the year last year. I was intrigued. I started watching all their games. Jaden Daniels is special. He is going to be a problem for a long time in that NFC East.
I'll go Ravens over Eagles. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
I don't disagree with that, by the way.
I truly believe if he retired today, he would be a Hall of Famer, just given his resume already. But the one thing he's missing is not only a Super Bowl ring, but a chance to get to the Super Bowl. So this is the year they break through.
Bills, Eagles, with the Bills finally getting it.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Man, we're all hating on the Chiefs.
No, it just feels like the window is not as open as it used to be. It feels like Travis is a little bit older. Who knows what's going to happen with their receiving core and who's going to stay in and out of jail this year. Look, they got a guy that's facing 8 felony counts.
I drafted Rashid Rice in like all my fantasy teams. I don't know if that's the smartest move, but
I think later in the year you probably use him in the fantasy football playoffs. He'll probably get down in suspension before the end of the year, I would think. But he's got a lot to face there. It just feels like
are there other
not
pass catchers going to jail? Did I miss something?
No.
I was putting it all on Rashid. I figured 8 felony counts, spread it around for everybody.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I can assure you, if someone in the studio has 8 felony counts, the other 4 people do not want it spread around to them.
It's fantasy football we're talking about. Yeah, that's all. But no, I just feel like still really good, dangerous. I could see them winning anything, but I just don't know that they're at the level that they've been at the last several years.
My thinking for not picking them is very simple. It's football, and eventually you get hurt. So they played deep into the playoffs the last 3 years. They made the playoffs, obviously, every year for as long as I can remember, but 3 straight Super Bowl appearances. At some point in a game this violent, you're going to have something that doesn't break your way. And I think that is a real possibility when it comes to the Chiefs.
And I will say this, if you look at the numbers, both Mahomes and obviously Kelsey's getting a little bit older. He's, I think, 35 this year. They're statistically, each of the last 2 seasons from the third, if you even go back 3 seasons, they've been declining statistically each season.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be late to the Chiefs are done, but it's got to catch up to them at some point. You can't be on this lifetime heater.
But at the same time, would any of us?
Have we said that each year for the last?
I know. Well, I said I'll be late to the party.
I could pick them to go back to like the conference championship, but I just think again, making it to 4 straight Super Bowls is very hard. I mean, it hasn't happened since the Bills, I would think, right?
Yeah,
I mean, hell, three straight. I mean, weren't they?
That was probably the Patriots last
Mahomes,
time, maybe.
Mahomes, the first player in NFL history, right, to play in the AFC title game X amount of years.
Yeah, probably.
In a row. Yeah,
whatever it is. So, yeah.
What about MVP? Who you guys got winning the MVP?
Now, Mahomes' odds for the MVP, I brought this up a few weeks ago. He's like 4th or 5th in the odds. I mean, if you believe, last year people said, hey, Mahomes and that passing offense are kind of holding people back. That's where I would go. Well, if I'm picking the Packers over the Bills, then I probably got to sprinkle a little bit of Jordan Love.
This is a disgusting thought process from you, Kevin. This is gross.
You asked.
I'll go Justin Herbert.
I'm going to ask Rick. I'm going to phone a friend.
What's up?
Who's winning MVP in the Super Bowl? I'm sorry, who's winning MVP this year in the NFL?
Greg Rakestraw.
We going with Danny Dimes? We going with Jonathan Taylor? Who we going with?
I'm not going with either of those guys, but I would hope that you pick a serious.
You're going league-wide?
League-wide.
Jalen Hurts.
Ooh, you like those Eagles there.
Now, 5 minutes ago, I texted Greg Rakestraw, hey, what game do you have for Friday night? And I kid you not, the text was sent, and 27 seconds later, he opened the door to this very studio and goes, Pipe Ben Davis. The man is everywhere.
He delivers.
He is.
Absolutely everywhere.
I've got the feeling there may be a soccer Saturday that's being worked on right about now.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
Then we got a little 9 o'clock action with Greg Rakestraw coming up tomorrow. Our first Football Friday. Mark, last year, walk us through it. We did for picks on Fridays, we gave our lock of the week.
Uh-huh.
And that could have been college or NFL. Was that correct?
Yep.
And then obviously pick the Colts game.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. How do you plan on spending your evening this evening? I think I know the answer to this question, but Mark, what do you have going on?
I come home, I sit on the couch, I say, family, don't bother me. Your time with me is over. I will see you in February.
And Ashley says, all right, great joke, and you're still a dad. And Nora goes, yeah, Pops, that ain't going to work. And then if you don't listen again, there'll be some people's elbows dropped.
I'm sure my daughters will say, where's Taylor Swift? Like, not this game. She'll be on another one. Not this one, though. But, yeah, I'll enjoy the football. I'll take it all in and see if I actually cash any bets tonight.
Yeah, Mrs. Rickard is out of town tonight, so I've been given very specific instructions. There's a lot of homework and a lot of after-school activities, so I'm going to be that guy that's like, let's get your homework done right now. Let's go.
Okay, what age were you when your parents just gave up with that? Because mine, I want to say once I probably hit my freshman year of high school, they were like, you're kind of on your own.
Have you met my wife?
I have not.
She is very academically inclined.
Yeah.
Let's put it that
way.
way.
My parents were definitely on me about the grades, but it was more so like when we get the report card and they aren't what they're supposed to be, then I'll get on you. But
no,
they were not checking for the homework.
We track daily what's going on.
Oh, Lord. God bless them.
I know. But no, I'm looking forward. I'm hopeful that it's a light night of homework for everybody because I'd like to. I'm ready to watch the last episode of season 2 of Ozark. Leading into Thursday Night Football. If everything breaks my way. If everything breaks my way, that's what.
Who needs Carrie Underwood when you got that?
And you were right. Boy, you were right when I asked you earlier. The woman from Ozark, the older lady, she is nut. Darlene, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
She is beyond. She just had that final meeting with her husband.
She makes Draymond Green look normal. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, she does. Kevin, you just straight football tonight? What do you got going on?
Well, hopefully the kids get to bed on time. Are we 8:20?
Yeah, 8:20 tonight.
8:20 for the kick there. And I do think a big day for the Fever over there. We'll see if Caitlin Clark practices and exactly what the next step looks like. And they've got a game Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. Does she play at all in these final 3 regular season games? So that'll be something to watch outside of Colts.
I know a lot of people miss watching her play. Just want her to feel good and be healthy and get out there and get going again. That's going to wrap it up for us this morning on the Fan Morning Show. Stay tuned at noon. Jake Query will come your way. Probably a little more on silly season at IndyCar from him. And then JMV has your ride home from 3 to 6 as always. Thanks for listening this morning, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bright and early 7 a.m. tomorrow right here on 93.5, 107.